The Oklahoma Sooners continue to roll at home. They've won 31 straight in Norman. It's the nation's longest active home winning streak. And a tough place for Jimbo Fisher's first road game as head coach at Florida State. The good news for Jimbo, one of the nation's best quarterbacks, made the trip from Tallahassee with him. Stopping Christian Ponder will be job one for Oklahoma today. While the Seminole defenders will have to contend with DeMarco Murray, who ran for 208 yards in last week's season opening win over Utah State. A 7-point victory that was too close for comfort for Coach Bob Stoops. He hopes for a better performance today with a sellout crowd on hand at Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium. It's the first meeting in a decade between two of college football's greatest programs. On a hot and sunny day in Norman, Oklahoma, number 17 Florida State is ready to take on 10th ranked Oklahoma. And here come the Sooners onto Owen Field, where they haven't lost since the 2005 season opener against TCU. They've won 31 straight home games since, 51 of 52 overall. Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm Sean McDonough along with Matt Millen. Delighted to have you with us for what should be one of the great games of this college football weekend, Monster Saturday, here on ABC. And Matt, one of the big stories of this college football season, the retirement of Bobby Bowden, replaced by Jimbo Fisher. So far, so good for Jimbo. An easy win last week at home against Samford, but the competition much tougher, and they'll rely heavily on Christian Ponder.
Just a little bit tougher this week. And Christian Ponder is going to have to be that much better. Now, the good news for Christian Ponder is real simple. If you're a legitimate Heisman Trophy candidate, today's the day to show the nation that you're it. He's going to have to run this offense flawlessly. He's going to have to take this thing on his own shoulders because, Sean, defensively, they're young. And they have a new defensive coordinator. They put things in early last week. It was a good start. But young Mark Stoops, the younger brother of Bob, the head coach at Oklahoma, he's going to have his work cut out for him today.
Mark Stoops will go against brother Bob for the first time ever. Both coaches during the week told us it's uncomfortable and awkward. They are very close. Bob Stoops said the only time you want to play your brother is in a championship game, so somebody in the family has to win a title. That's not what's at stake today, but it is a big ball game. Oklahoma squeaked by last week. A lot of angst here locally. They were favored by 34 to beat Utah State, held on to win by 7, and so much of the offense fell on 2 players.
Well, really, and as long as I can remember, and you sitting out there probably think the very same thing, Oklahoma has always had great running backs. Well, this version is no different. DeMarco Murray, over 200 yards a week ago, runs strong, has the big speed to be able to break things. And then Ryan Broyles, the receiver, he's magic. He's magic, but he has to get the ball in his hands. And a week ago, they did not do a good job. Landry Jones himself admitted it was a subpar performance. And in order for them to open this offense up, Jones is going to have a better day.
Florida State and Oklahoma. We'll have the opening kickoff from Norman right after this.
Watching ESPN College Football on ABC, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings.
Back in Norman, Oklahoma, the Sooners and the Seminoles for the first time since they played for the national title at the end of the 2000 regular season in the 2001 Orange Bowl. Of course, Florida State was a dominant team in the 90s, but many Seminole fans point to that upset 13-2 loss at the hands of Oklahoma as the start of the decline for the Seminoles and the beginning of great things in the 2000s for Oklahoma.
67th FedEx Orange Bowl. The Seminoles of Florida State, the defending national champions, and the upstart Sooners looking for respect.
Intercepted by Oklahoma.
Winky in trouble, and the fumble. Oklahoma's got it. Quentin Griffin, touchdown. The champions of the FedEx Orange Bowl are the finally respected Sooners of Oklahoma.
And they meet again. And this big crowd is ready. Florida State won the toss and deferred. So Dustin Hopkins, the sophomore from Houston, Texas, with a big leg, will kick off. 6 of his 10 kickoffs last week against Samford went for touchbacks. He led the ACC in touchbacks last year. You saw DeMarco Murray among those back deep to receive, back with Moses Madu, who's returning today from a 1-week suspension. Didn't play last week. And there's that booming leg of Hopkins, sending it over the head of Murray and through the end zone. Down on the field, here's Janine Edwards.
Well, Sean, Barb and Mark Stoops come from a family of 5 coaches. Their late father Ron and brothers Ron Jr. and Mike. Ironically, the first time 2 Stoops coaches faced each other was in 1988, the day Ron Sr. died of a heart attack after a game against Ron Jr.'s team. So this is a poignant moment. Bob and Mark Stoops said this is a unique and uncomfortable game for the Stoops family, especially their mom Dee Dee. She's here today in a plain red t-shirt. Regardless, Ron Sr. will be proud of his boys either way.
Indeed. Bob Stoops said, Mom better be cheering for my team. She's staying at our house. Quick throw to get it started by Landry Jones. Right out to Ryan Broyles. So that's 28 straight games with a catch for Broyles. And that one good for a 4-yard gain for the junior from Norman. Spent his entire life in this area, born in Oklahoma City, just a few miles away. Second and a long 5 just across the 24-yard line. And DeMarco Murray to the 29, chopped down by Terrence Parks. Here's a look at the starting offense for Oklahoma. Murray, 208 a week ago, when Broyles, the big playmaker at wide receiver. They're hoping Kenny or Stills will emerge as another threat on the outside. Rattery, the tight end, a former walk-on. The good news for Oklahoma, the starting offensive line intact for 2 weeks in a row. That was the longest streak of offensive line starting combinations last year when they were decimated by injuries. Murray, his first catch of the year. Up the sideline and out of bounds at the 36.
Very well done by Landry Jones. Just a simple to the left side. It's a 1-2-3 read. Just watching where the backers go. He clamps on the inside, leaves Murray free to the outside. Murray is an outstanding receiver out of the backfield, and he's a guy who has great hands.
Only Quentin Griffin has caught more passes out of the backfield for Oklahoma. There's Broyles again. And the Sooners are sharp on the opening possession. Across midfield and out of bounds at the FSU 49. Ochuko Jenajay, former cornerback, now at safety, made the tackle. That's a big story for that Florida State defense. He's just a couple of weeks at the safety spot. Landry Jones as they go quickly deep down the sideline and incomplete.
Well,
looking for Cameron Kenny.
One of the things that this Oklahoma team wanted to do, he was talking to their offensive coordinator Ken Wilson yesterday, he wanted to get Landry Jones settled down, and he wanted to get him into the game faster. And so what they've done here early is very smart. Just get the ball, nice quick underneath stuff. Now he takes a shot there, but you can get him to build his confidence in a little bit, just kind of settle everything down. The offense runs a lot smoother.
Sophomore from Artesia, New Mexico, southeast corner of the state, he tells us. Town of about 10,000 people. Has a man open and another first down to the 33-yard line of Florida State. Ryan Broyles again, 16 more.
And that came on the back of this offensive line with great protection, and then allowed Jones to just sit back there, and Broyles is just going to sit down right in the middle of the zone. Lots of time to be able to find the hole, and the quarterback sees him for a big first down.
Jones 4 out of 5 passing. He completed just 47% of his passes last week, and was quite candid in telling us when we visited yesterday he was very disappointed with the way he played. Said he just never could get into a rhythm. Seems to be into a rhythm here early. Murray down to the 30-yard line. Everett Dawkins made the tackle. He's part of the front 4 for Florida State. Not a particularly big group up front with White, Dawkins, McDaniel, and Jenkins. Kendall Smith, second-year starter at middle linebacker. And Greg Reed, they think, is a future superstar, the sophomore cornerback. swing pass too high for DeMarco Murray.
Well, defensively, they're young, Sean, but they don't have a legitimate pass rusher. And when you don't have that, a lot falls back to the sideline, a.k.a. Mark Stoops. He's going to have to generate a pass rush with scheme, and that's tough to do, especially against a seasoned offensive line like this Oklahoma Sooner offense is.
Stoops served as his brother Mike's defensive coordinator the last 6 years at Arizona. Similar circumstances there. Took over a defense among the worst in college football. Turned it into a very effective unit. And a first down. Good run after the catch by the true freshman Kenny Stills. They'll mark him out at the 20, and they convert on third down.
Sean, watching the tape, the guy who just jumped off the tape for me, Ryan Broyles, the next guy is Stills. He's just a freshman. He is electric. He has excellent hands and tremendous run after catch. He can make you miss. This guy's going to have a great career here.
Coaches were disappointed. He had a hip flexor in the preseason that limited his practice time. Very highly recruited player with Stills. Throw to the end zone is incomplete. There is a flag down with that movement along the line.
And
Trent Rattery was the intended receiver.
Dropped another one at the end of the play. Rattery never got his head around because he was open. But just in this first series, Sean, just looking at it, the Seminoles of Florida State, they're going to have to get a pass rush because if they, this Landry Jones will maul them.
Jack Childress is the referee out of the ACC, Florida State's conference. We have Big 12 replay officials.
A dead ball foul. First, there's offsides. 93 of the defense. That's a 5-yard penalty. And then there's a dead ball foul, personal foul, hands to the face by the defense. That's a 15-yard penalty. It remains first down.
He meant the offense. He pointed at the offense.
I'm just trying to see if we were paying attention up here.
And we are, at least half the time. What'd you say?
Yeah, exactly. Now, Mark Stoops, the other thing that's going to be tough for him, it's not a real big defense. They're young, and they have some good young speed. They can run. They're athletic. But their defensive line is not the biggest group. 290 is the biggest.
It's first and 20. And they're setting up a screen with blockers out ahead of DeMarco Murray, and he's tripped up after a 9-yard gain.
A nice job out there in tripping him up, because that had a chance to go big. Again, Murray, excellent out of the backfield catching the ball. And Landry Jones is just slowing things down and taking exactly what the defense is opening.
And Kenny battles for the first down and has it inside the 10, out at the 8, with Greg Reed in coverage.
You're going to watch, they're just playing zone coverage. Greg Reed gets his drop, and then because there's no pressure, Jones is just sitting there and just taking his time and finding the open receiver sitting down in the zone. And in every zone, I don't care what it is, there are always holes in zones. You need time to find it.
First and goal Sooners after a 13-yard gain. And DeMarco Murray is down to the 4-yard line. He carried 35 times last week. Says he's ready to take the pounding. Spent a lot of time working on his conditioning in the offseason, yoga, stretching. A lot of the players now doing that mixed martial arts. And he's lost a little bit of weight. They're hoping he can stay healthy for a full year. He takes off up the middle and is very close to the end zone. They're going to mark him down just short.
Well, they are just doing whatever they want right now. That offensive line is handling the defensive front, and they're running and throwing at will.
This will be the 14th play. Shane Millard is in at fullback, leading the way for Murray, and he scores a touchdown. The official on the near side signaled touchdown. He just did get in, and Oklahoma leads 6-0.
And it looks like DeMarco Murray is getting up a little slow. It's where the ball is. Goes up over the top. That's a tough one. This guy right here had a good look at it, and up go the arms.
It looked like as he landed, the ball was right on the goal line, breaking the plane. We mentioned he's had a history of injuries. And they are going to review that touchdown. And Kevin Wilson, we visited yesterday, the offensive coordinator, said he thinks Murray could be even better because of the injuries. He's never really had good continuity in his workout routines, in his practice habits. And as a result, they don't think he's been as good as he can be. And that's saying a lot because he's been a pretty good player.
Well, and then the other guy they're excited about is Moses Madu. And Moses Madu is available this week. He wasn't a week ago. But as long as I can remember, going all the way back, now Billy Vessels was a little bit before my time. I remember from Joe Don Looney on, there have been a plethora of running backs at Oklahoma. Every year, seemingly, they have a stud. And this year is no different. Hey, you had 3 Heisman Trophy winners here. Billy Sims, who I thought was a great player. Steve Owens in '69. So they've always had great runners here.
Review, the call on the field is confirmed. Touchdown.
Well, it looks to be right. Ball landed on the goal line. So it's an 80-yard touchdown drive, 14 plays. And Landry Jones, by his own admission, off his game a week ago, very sharp on that drive. 7 out of 9 for 77 yards. Almost all of it through the air for Coach Stoops. Patrick O'Hara will kick the extra point. One of the issues for Oklahoma this year is that place kicker. O'Hara was just named the starter in the week leading up to the opener. His kick is good, and the start's good for these fans. 7-0 Sooners, less than 5 minutes played.
We have a timeout.
Robert Flores from our Times Square studios. Let's give you a pulse of what's going on the ESPN family of networks. Miami and Ohio State. No score in that game first quarter. Kent State and Boston College, ESPNU. Number 9 Iowa taking on Iowa State on either ESPN2 or ABC, depending on where you live. Now back to Florida State and Oklahoma. Sean McDonough, Matt Millen, and Janine Edwards.
All right, Robert, thank you. DeMarco Murray, the touchdown run. Sooners an impressive opening drive. And now Florida State will get the ball for the first time today. Tress Way will kick off for the Sooners. LaMarcus Joyner and Greg Reed are back deep. Reed, one of the most dangerous return men in the country. So they kick it high and short, and it's still Reed able to run under it near the 21-yard line. And never could find any running room. Too much speed on that coverage unit for Oklahoma. And the Seminoles will begin on offense for the first time today from the 30, led by Christian Ponder. Last season, 69% completions, one of the best seasons in Florida State history. Threw for over 2,700 yards, and he missed 4 games. Hurt his shoulder late in the year. That required surgery in mid-November. But he was back in time for spring practice. And very impressive last week in only a half against Samford. He can run. These Oklahoma defenders know that. And he runs for 9 on the Florida State first play from scrimmage.
The first thing you're going to notice about Christian Ponder is he's in complete control of this offense. And he makes great decisions, and he makes them fast, Sean. And so his ball will come out relatively fast. He'll read the coverage, pull it back down. If he sees you're manned up and there's a hole, his legs will get him out of there like it did in this last play.
Got just about everything you'd be looking for. Good size, 6'3", 222 pounds, an excellent arm. Very smart. Excellent instincts. Jermaine Thomas took the handoff, turned the corner, and went across midfield to the 48-yard line of Oklahoma, where David King made the tackle. 13 yards, first down. It's an entirely veteran offensive line blocking for that skill group. 3-year starters Datko, Spurlock, and Sanders. four-year starters Hudson and McMahon. 41st straight start for the senior center. And Hudson's 3 times all-conference in the ACC at left guard. Ponder, time, and his throw too hot to handle. Intended for Taiwan Easterling.
Well, they know what they have in Christian Ponder, and they know what they have in that offensive line, and they feel good about both those things. It's the others that have to step their game up. Outside, their receivers, they've got to come up. And then also in the running game, Jermaine Thomas, 38. Lonnie Pryor, another guy. Ty Jones. These are guys who have to be able to match the play of their quarterback and offensive line.
Big contrast in the offensive lines. Oklahoma didn't have one player who started on the O-line last week who started the season opener for them last year. Burt Reed the catch, 13 more. And Florida State just as impressive as Oklahoma was on its first possession that yielded a touchdown.
Yeah, look at this. There's no pressure whatsoever. And again, the same thing we said on the first drive for Oklahoma applies right here. Because there's no pressure, sit down in the zone. There's a hole in every zone. He does a nice job of sitting right in there, and Ponder finds him perfectly.
He's a junior. 60 catches last year. The leading returning receiver. 1st and 10, Florida State. Ponder to the far sideline, too high. Over the head of Burt Reed. Oklahoma was one of the best defensive units in the country last year. Of course, they lost Gerald McCoy up front. They do have Jeremy Beal, they believe is one of the best defensive ends in the country. Casey Walker and McGee in the front. Frank Alexander didn't play last week with an ankle injury. Wirtz, young and talented in the middle. Travis Lewis, one of the best linebackers in the country. First team All Big 12 last year. The big concern, the cornerbacks. Both Fleming and Hurst made their first career starts last week, and from time to time they struggled. Utah State passed for 341 yards. Greg Reed takes off running. He took the direct snap. This went to the 28-yard line.
Sean, this guy, Greg Reed, you and I were watching, and he's an exciting player. I mean, this kid is a returner. He's electric. As a cornerback, the kid is quick as a cat. He's a lockdown type of guy. And they'll use him on offense like you just saw right there. He'll see something, and he is through it. Man, he's like lightning.
3rd down and 4. Ponder has his man for a first down inside the 20. Bo Relaford, the tight end, with the first catch by a tight end this season for Florida State. 9 yards and a first down.
Well, because of the protection, he had time to ponder the whole thing. And it was done. Thank you. I'll be here all week. And he just does a great job. Look at this. That is really well done. And it's just pitch and catch, just the patience, let it open, ball's right there.
They didn't have much practice on 3rd down conversions. They had only 4 third downs all of last week to convert against Samford. Went 3 out of 4. And a rout of Jimbo Fisher's alma mater. Jermaine Thomas to the 16-yard line. Everything went smoothly last week for Jimbo Fisher. Longtime assistant, waited 22 years as a college assistant. Get his first head coaching job ever at Florida State after 3 years as their offensive coordinator. And he's still calling the plays.
And he's still calling his old coach, Bobby Bowden. Loves him. Credits Bobby Bowden with everything. And he took the thing and knew he had to make some changes. But the biggest thing was he wanted to get his offense into play, and he had to get Ponder back, which he did.
Some thought Ponder might come out for the NFL. He rolls right, he's in trouble. Shows that running ability. Might get to the end zone. He's down at the 1.
Sean, we said at the start of the game that when you're a Heisman Trophy candidate, games like this are when you show your stuff. And games like this is when you prove that you are what you are. He's doing it right now.
And they tried to catch Oklahoma off guard and did not. Jermaine Thomas spun back to the line of scrimmage. And the second scramble of the day for Ponder. Netted 15 yards for the Seminoles, and they're a yard away from a tying score.
The guy who I wanted to watch today was Jeremy Beal over ZB Sanders. Sanders, number 77, that right tackle. And you have not heard anything from Beal. Beal's a good pass rusher. He's got some athleticism. He can dip. He can turn the corner on you. Sanders, in this first drive, nullified him.
Second and goal. Lonnie Pryor in at fullback in front of Jermaine Thomas. Leading the way for Thomas. Touchdown, Florida State.
That was huge, Sean. Came back and answered it the way they had to answer it. Offensive line took control. Ponder had his way, and they come down and get a big score to tie this thing up.
Second touchdown of the season for Jermaine Thomas, junior from Jacksonville. And now Dustin Hopkins to tie it with an extra point. He's made 42 of those in a row now. 70 yards and 11 plays. Ponder ran for 24, passed for 22, and Thomas finished the job.
ESPN's College Football on ABC, brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings. You have to be here. Nissan, proud partner of the Heisman Trophy. And Northwestern Mutual. Begin building your foundation for life at northwesternmutual.com.
Sooner Schooner. Covered wagon, reminiscent of the mode of travel used by the pioneers who settled Oklahoma. Schooner was first introduced here in 1964, didn't become a OU mascot until 1980, powered by Boomer and Sooner. Nice sound effects.
That's a Conestoga, isn't it?
It's really cool. This is one of the great venues in college football, but part of what makes it cool is when that Schooner comes out around the field. If you're the opponent, you don't want to see it. Remember our good friend and colleague Mike Godfrey talked about when he coached at Kansas, used to come in here and Oklahoma would hammer him. He said those horses were quite winded by the end of the day for all the laps they had to do around this field.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I've heard some stories about guys saying we thought they killed the horses. They ran up so many points.
There's Dustin Hopkins with the big leg to kick off again. Didn't get quite as much of this one. But Moses Madu won't bring it out from about 7 yards deep. Let's look at today's more sound effects. Today's Chick-fil-A drive recap. I'm not sure if that was the video making that noise or you, Matt Millen.
Well, one thing who's making a lot of noise was that Oklahoma defense, because Christian Ponder had his way with him. And he used his feet, he used his arm. The offensive line had a lot of time, then opened holes in the end zone, and they were a complete offense in that whole drive.
So both offenses impressive. If you're the two coaches, though, you have to be a little worried about your defense. Florida State's defense really not tested by Samford. There is a flag down with that movement at the line, and it's Murray ahead for 5. And of course the defense was awful last year, so here's their first big test, and Oklahoma goes right down the field, and it's more of the same for the Oklahoma defense.
Offside.
Bad last week, bad on that drive.
Defense, that's a 5-yard penalty. It remains first down.
Brandon Jenkins offside.
You know, Sean, the tough thing with defense, I mean, it's defense is highly integrated based on discipline, but you have to have a couple things. You have to have some big men inside because you always have to have a point to start with. That's the first thing. And then you have to have great discipline because one guy jumps out of a gap and it's 6. Oh, and by the way, you need a pass rusher.
DeMarco Murray down at the line of scrimmage. Tackled by Moses McCray, who wasn't even listed on their 2 deep, but he's been in there for a couple of plays. Let's check in with Janine Edwards.
Well, Sean, just as you guys were talking about Florida State's defense, when they came off the field after that opening drive, Mark Stoops very agitated. There were missed assignments. Guys were not lined up right. One guy went left instead of right, so they're hoping to get back to basics here on this drive.
Second and 5. Landry Jones with all day to throw, and a good catch by DeMarco Murray. Terrence Parks have the coverage. Well, they didn't throw one to Murray that he caught last week. They're correcting that this week. That's a 22-yard reception for Murray.
Anytime you have a running back with his run skill who can detach and get outside of the formation and become a legitimate receiver like he is, it gives defenses fits. How do you treat him? Do you treat him like a receiver? Do you treat him like a running back? Who do you deploy? He can't be a backer, usually not a safety. It just causes lots of problems.
His third catch, swing pass for Ryan Broyles. He gets bopped out of bounds at the 48-yard line of the Seminoles by Xavier Rhodes. And there's an injured Sooner on the play. Ryan Broyles had 89 catches and 15 touchdown receptions, both of them school records last year. Had a huge bowl game in the Sun Bowl, their win over Stanford, but he caught 13 passes, 3 touchdowns. Donald Stevenson, the starting left tackle, is the injured player, first-year starter. That's reminiscent of last year when their offensive line just got annihilated by injuries. Timeout, 4 minutes to go, first quarter. Donald Stevenson limped off. He's trying to walk it off on the near sideline. 7-7 the score. Rematch of the 2000 National Championship game, which took place at the 2001 Orange Bowl at then Pro Players Stadium in Miami. Won by Oklahoma. Jarvis Jones has come in. It's part of a 3-tackle rotation for Oklahoma. He plays a lot at both tackle spots. Here's Moses Madu, seeing his first action of the year after a 1-game suspension. He was yanked down short of the first down at the Florida State 44-yard line. And you said it earlier, Madu, in the opinion of the coaches, was every bit as good in the preseason as DeMarco Murray.
Well, he's exciting also. He's got that same kind of breakaway speed. A little shorter, a little thicker. Runs well between the tackles.
Madu played some wide receiver last year. Nice play action fake. And a run for a first down by Landry Jones to the 35. Here's Robert Flores.
All right, Sean, Taco Bell studio update. After Ohio State had a touchdown called back for holding, they settled for a field goal. Ensuing kickoff, Lamar Miller, 88 yards for the touchdown. Miami up 7-3. And James Madison is on the brink of beating Virginia Tech. Sean.
Wow. Virginia Tech not able to bounce back after that disappointment against Boise State. Meanwhile, Madu carried for 8 yards during that date. Second and a long 2. And Madu again inside the 20 and a first down.
And they had
to have Murray carry, sorry, Matt, 35 times last week because they didn't have Madu. It helps to have Moses on your side.
Always good to have Moses on your side. And they are quickening the pace, and they're trying to catch Florida State short-handed. Now they'll slow the thing back down. But Florida State was running guys in and out, and so they're quickening the pace to try to get them short-handed.
Of course, it's a Florida State unit still trying to learn a new defense. It's a lot different from what they've been playing under Mickey Andrews, who retired after 26 years as defensive coordinator. Mr. Alexander took down Moses Madu after a short game.
Sean, what Janine said earlier is a great point, because all too often when you get a young team and a new defensive scheme and you put them out there and you quicken the pace, it's a lot about making decisions and being right even where you line up. And a lot of times guys get lined up wrong and it creates big holes.
Pump fake by Jones. It got the receiver wide open. Ryan Broyles, a touchdown.
Well, that whole thing, again, that offensive line, no pressure. He ran the ball, come off with play action, has plenty of time, and does a perfect throw down that left side.
5 catches already for Ryan Broyles. He caught 2 touchdown passes last week. That's his 3rd of the season. Another 80-yard drive. Looks like we could be in for a shootout today. And Patrick O'Hara adds the extra point. Landry Jones, 47% last week. He's 10 for 12 today against the Noles. Ryan Broyles caught 9 passes last week against Utah State, 2 of them for touchdowns. He has 5 catches already today and a touchdown. And there's been absolutely no defense so far today here in Norman. Tress Way kicks off. Tumbling down to Greg Reed. Trying to go across the field. There's a flag down. Reed turns the corner. Well, there is a flag down back at the 24-yard line. He runs out of bounds at the Oklahoma 38.
Sean, they should take Reed off the back of his name off the back. Just put big play on it, because he's a big play waiting to happen every time. He's exciting.
A 49-yard return will be negated by an illegal block against the Seminoles.
During the return, blocking it back, 84 offense, 10 yards, first down.
Rodney Smith, a wide receiver, guilty of the blocking infraction.
Right there, and it's close. Usually they watch which way he falls. He goes head first. They throw the flag. He was head first.
Well, the ball comes all the way back to the 14-yard line. It's a defense that needs help, and the crowd's trying to give it to him. Jermaine Thomas for a yard. Frank Alexander the stop.
Let's go back to that touchdown, and I want you to watch Xavier Rhodes, number 27, and watch his head, okay? Nicely done. You take your first quick peek now on the receiver. Eyes should be here. Instead, they go back inside to Landry Jones, and there's the bite. It's over. Broyles makes the break. The ball's thrown to the outside shoulder. 6 quick.
I would think you would particularly want to keep your eyes on number 85.
That's another
secondary for Florida State. Empty backfield. 5 wide receivers for the Seminoles. Under a minute to go in the quarter, and the pass is broken up. Intended for Willie Halstead. He wanted a flag. He's not going to get it. Tight coverage by Jamel Fleming, the junior from Arlington, Texas.
Good tight coverage, and they got a little bit of pressure that time from Jeremy Beal, that left defensive end, off of Sanders, number 77. Sanders going to try to cut him. Now, this is an athletic guy. This is a guy you have to get into him. You can't just kind of drop at his feet. He has excellent feet. He redirects extremely well. He can bend on that outside half. He does some good things.
Ponder under duress throws it away. And a flag thrown, might be for intentional grounding.
Jeremy Beal again there. There's pressure coming from the other side.
We have intentional grounding. Number 7 of the offense. After Ross is down, thought of the pass. The ball did not cross the neutral zone. Ross is down from the spot.
You're going to see it's a stand-up, and they bring 5. And then here comes the pressure from the inside and outside. Jeremy Beal holds the edge again. His athleticism keeps him on his feet, and they do a nice job of getting after him. Frank Alexander, number 84, is also in there.
Sean Powell's first punt of the year from the back of the end zone. They did not punt last week against Samford. He has a great leg, and he has a big wind at his back. And he bombs one. Back to the 36-yard line goes Ryan Broyles. And a 10-yard return to the 46. 60-yard punt, 10-yard return. Mr. Alexander made the tackle tonight at 7 Eastern on ESPN. Big-time coaching matchup. Joe Paterno's 18th ranked Penn State Nittany Lions take on the top-ranked Alabama Crimson Tide of Nick Saban. It's college football primetime presented by Hampton Hotels tonight at 7 Eastern on ESPN. College football is available on TV, online, and on your phone. Go to ESPN.com for more information. First time they've met since 1990. Robert Bolden in a tough spot tonight. The Penn State freshman quarterback. Brennan Clay, true freshman. Caught the swing pass, got about 7, perhaps 8, got across midfield. And he's a versatile freshman. They'll line him up as a receiver and as a running back.
You know, one thing I've always been impressed with Oklahoma, if they have a talent, it doesn't matter how old he is, they're putting him on the field. They did the same thing with Joe Paterno with Robert Bolden. He won't be the problem. That offensive line for Penn State, that's going to be the problem.
Jones throws it the other way, incomplete. Clay alerted enough to get on it, but it is a forward pass, incomplete. 3rd down and 2 with 11 seconds to go in the first quarter. It's one of the few errant balls thrown by Landry Jones so far. And now here they come quickly to the line again. DeMarco Murray back in, and he has the first down. Chopped down by Greg Reed. But Murray will be marked down at the 43-yard line, and it's 1st and 10 Sooners.
You know, the one attribute that you see on both sides of the field is speed. Both these teams can run.
176 yards of offense in the first quarter for Oklahoma. They lead 14-7.
Hey, hey, do you wanna be famous? Everywhere you go, people know what your name is. Everyone you know trying to tell you you're changing. They wanna taste that.
Back in Norman, Oklahoma, ready to go with second quarter action. Oklahoma leading 14-7 and on the move again. 1st and 10 at the Florida State 43. Sean McDonough, Matt Millen, Janine Edwards, delighted to have you with us. On a warm and humid day, temperature in the mid-80s, 60% humidity. Dewan Miller, his first catch of the ball game to the Florida State 37. Let's take a look at our Pacific Life game summary. And Florida State had a terrific opening drive, answering an opening score by Oklahoma. But Florida State stopped on its second possession. The big statistical edge to Oklahoma. That will continue with another big play and a touchdown for Cameron Kenny.
John, it looked like it was quarters coverage, which really doesn't mean to a lot of people out there, but what it does mean is when the outside receiver goes vertical, it turns into man-to-man. Cameron Kinney did go vertical. Landry Jones had plenty of time to make the throw, and he beat Greg Reed. Looked like Reed was going to try to make a play on the ball, missed it, and it's 6 quick.
$37-yard touchdown. They went 54 yards in just 49 seconds. The extra point good for Patrick O'Hara. 21-7 Oklahoma. Cameron Kenny, his first touchdown of the season.
Watch right outside here. They're going to go vertical here. Now in this coverage, when he goes vertical, this converts to man. Greg Reed sitting out top. Now he's got to get depth. Sees the ball, tries to make a play. Kinney had gotten on top of him. Very well thrown ball, and again, plenty of time to make that throw. Well executed. Well, he was a little down about how he played a week ago when we sat and talked to him, but he's going to be pretty darn happy about what he's done up to this point.
Cameron Kenny, senior from Georgia, with the touchdown. Meanwhile, on the other side, when they played Sanford last week, get a chance to break in the new defense against lesser competition they're seeing today. Mark Stoops says there are days at practice when he thinks, wow, they're really getting this. It's all starting to gel. And then there are other times he just puts his hands on his head and says, I can't believe we're still making those kinds of mistakes.
You know, Shauna, I got to tell you, this team, this defense under Mickey Andrews played great defense for years. And they were a predominantly man-to-man team. And when you go from a man-to-man group to playing lots, that's hard to do. You start recruiting guys who have a lot of man skills, and then zone is about feel, and zone is about lots more vision. You have to see where your help is. You have to understand where things are. You have to use your help. You have to see the whole field. It's a tough transition. He'll get it done.
Tress Way kicking off for the first time today with the wind at his back. And LaMarcus Joyner thinking about it. And then takes an egg. Let's check in again with Robert Flores in our Times Square studio in New York.
All right, Sean, this studio update brought to you by New York Life. And bad news for Boise State and their national title hopes, because James Madison of the SCS beat Virginia Tech. Hokies turned it over 3 times. Darren Evans coughs it up deep in James Madison territory with 5 minutes left. Hokies never got the ball back. Michigan has gone up 14-7 on Notre Dame. Sean.
All right, Robert, thank you. Florida State already down by 14, just seconds into the second quarter. Seminoles 7-6 a year ago, but picked by the media to win their division of the ACC, the Atlantic Division. They had a Clemson and Boston College. Taiwan Easterling has the pass from Ponder and has a 9-yard gain with DeMontre Hurst in coverage, first-year starter, sophomore cornerback.
Well, James Cooley, the offensive coordinator for the Florida State Seminoles, if he's sitting back right now, he's looking at the best way for them to move the football is in the air. It's Ponder. Coley knows it, and he's going to have to use that arm the whole time.
James is in the press box, provides advice for Jimbo Fisher, who ultimately calls the plays. Nothing doing on the run for Chris Thompson. James Coley told us it will be running back by committee for Florida State unless somebody gets the hot hand, then they'll ride that runner. Jimbo said it wasn't that hard last week to manage the head coaching decisions and the play calling, as he did that for the first time.
Now, I always thought for a head coach the toughest thing is to manage the game overall, like game clock management. That's a whole nother skill all by itself. He's doing that too.
Third down and 1. Jermaine Thomas got just enough for the first down.
This is a drive right here, Sean. Given the way Oklahoma has moved the ball, Florida State has got to be able to answer it. Because if they fall back by 2 scores, it stands a chance of getting ugly, because they have not shown any ability to be able to slow Oklahoma down. Again, this goes back to Ponder. Ponder's got to make the plays. He's what they have. Great players make big plays in big games. This is a big game.
Ponder with a lot of time trying to throw the deep ball, and it's batted away. Good coverage by Jamel Fleming as he was running stride for stride with Burt Reed.
That's what we were talking about earlier. They're young. Jamel Fleming just a junior, but man, they're talented. And Reed does not run away from Fleming. Fleming's just tracking the ball the whole time. That's very well played. You've got to gain some separation at one point. He's got a stem at the top of his route. He didn't do that. Fleming just tracked him.
Yeah, an interception and 10 tackles, but last week Utah State threw for 341 yards. They have an excellent quarterback, DeAndre Burrell. A lot of people haven't heard of, but he's outstanding. Ponder got drilled as he threw it. Caught by Taiwan Easterling, who battles to the 39, about 2 yards short of a first down. Travis Lewis made the tackle. But in defense of that secondary, Bob Stoops, Brent Venables both said last week they played a lot of basic coverages. There's Tony Jefferson, who came on the blitz there and walloped Ponder. There's Brent Venables. Been on the staff here at Oklahoma all 12 years with Bob Stoops. He's one of the best defensive coordinators in the country.
But up to this point, regardless of how vanilla they were a week ago, if they don't bring a 5th guy, they have not gotten pressure against this Florida State offensive line. That time was the first time they really got a hit on Ponder.
Ponder to throw on 3rd and 2. Nicely executed. Out of the backfield, Jermaine Thomas. And a long run down the near sideline to the 40-yard line of Oklahoma. Tom Wirt made the tackle. First down, Florida State.
Again, they're just going to flood the zone over to this left side, well, the right side as we're looking at it. And just well done. You're just outflanking your defenders. All you're doing. Just take him, get him down the side, and then again, because lots of time for Ponder, just dumps it off and lets him run.
21-yard gain. Ponder's from the Dallas, Texas area, Colleyville, just a couple of hours drive here from Norman. He has a lot of friends and relatives cheering him on today. And movement before the snap.
Ball start, 77 offense, 5-yard penalty, it's still first down.
Zebri Sanders called for the movement. Ponders from a Florida State family. His dad, David, played defensive end and tackle for Florida State back in the 1980s. Well, Christian grew up a Seminole fan, wanted to go to Florida State, but wasn't heavily recruited by the Noles early on. Hands it off to Jermaine Thomas. Matter of fact, junior year in high school, Matt, Christian Ponder went to a Bobby Bowden summer camp, hoping he was going to get a scholarship offer. As he was leaving to go to a camp at Georgia Tech, the Florida State coaches told him, "We can't offer you one right now. We're waiting to get an answer from a young man named Tim Tebow.
Never heard
See
of
if
him.
he's going to come to play in Tallahassee." Tebow called a little while later, said, "I'm going to Florida." And that's when Florida State offered Ponder the scholarship. Kind of worked out well for everybody.
Yeah, all the way around. And he's going to have to use that arm right now on this 2nd and long to get him out of this little bit of predicament here.
Ponder got back near the line of scrimmage and then got belted by Tom Wirt. A big hitter at middle linebacker, redshirt freshman from New Braunfels, Texas, but originally from the United Kingdom. He moved to this country in the 8th grade, didn't play football obviously until he got over here. He's a quick learner.
And he's also quick-footed. The kid can really run. He's fun to watch on tape. The one area that he's a good hitter, he has a knack for finding the ball, good instincts. He's got to get better in his pass drops. Sometimes he kind of gets a little bit lost in his underneath coverage, but he's just a young one. He's going to be a good one.
The 2 personal foul penalties that were costly last week leave him to play with a bit more discipline. Movement at the snap, right over the ball.
For the snap, it was offside by contact, 53 of the defense. That's a 5-yard penalty. It's still 3rd down.
J.C. Walker, sophomore from Garland, Texas.
You're going to see they like to stand a bunch of people up. The reason they do that is it's hard to account for everybody inside. So they'll like to get 3 to 5 guys, sometimes 6 or 7 guys at the line of scrimmage. Look at this. And then the offensive line has to decide who's coming and who isn't.
Ponder pressured off the corner and has nowhere to go. Down at the 42-yard line, Frank Alexander, a welcome returnee to this defense today after he sat out last week with a high ankle sprain. He's been a factor here in the first half.
Well, here you go. They're going to bring themselves 6 guys. They bring Word off the edge. Alexander just keeps on coming. They do a nice job all the way around. But again, that offensive line has to decide who's coming and who isn't. Everybody has to be accounted for. That time Alexander beat it.
Sean Powell the punt. Brian Broyles back deep. Very high kick. And even into the wind, too strong into the end zone. And it'll come out to the 20. Let's take a look at today's Aflac trivia question. As we mentioned earlier, Oklahoma 31 straight wins here at home, the longest current home winning streak in the nation. Which school holds the all-time record for the most consecutive wins at home? I thought it might have been Oklahoma. because they had that stretch where they never lost when Bud Wilkinson was the coach, home or away, but that is not the correct answer, to give the folks at home a little hint. Here come the Sooners again. They've had 3 possessions prior to this one and scored 3 touchdowns. Landry Jones out throwing. Cameron Kenny the catch. He has a touchdown for Oklahoma. Touchdown drives of 80, 80, and 54 for the Sooners. Here's Janine.
Well, Sean, this Florida State defense trying not to get down on themselves. I overheard them at the break, the defensive ends telling the corners, guys, I'm counting on you. I'm counting on you. And Ochuko Jenije, one guy taking it hard, sitting on the end of the bench with his head down, not speaking to anyone. Keep in mind, he's making a difficult transition from corner to safety this year.
He's one of the most impressive guys we've spoken with. As Moses Madu carried for a first down for Oklahoma. He said, I was raised to be a team player. I'm a senior. I've been a cornerback my whole career, but if they think the team's better off with me at safety, I'm going to do my best to learn how to play safety. But it's a lot different from being a corner. And he's learning on the fly.
Yeah, not easy to do, Sean. The angles are all different.
Moses Madu breaks a tackle. Got away from the grasp of LaMarcus Joyner. Got out to the 36. Mr. Alexander finally made the tackle.
They didn't even, Florida State wasn't even lined up properly there.
They're in trouble with this tempo as well. Landry Jones on target to Cameron Kenny. Coaches want more from some of the wide receivers other than Broyles, and they're getting it today from Cameron Kenny. His 4th catch for 72 yards.
Well, we said at the start somebody else had to pick the pace up, and everybody's picking the pace up right now. The Sooners have them on their heels right now.
Right down the seam, wide open. James Hanna. And another touchdown for Oklahoma.
What Janine said earlier came true again. They couldn't even get lined up properly. 2 plays in a row. This last time they were a victim of lining up slowly and then also poor tackling.
James Hanna, the junior, his first catch of the season. And it goes for a touchdown, 46 yards. The 3rd 80-yard touchdown drive of the day for Oklahoma. That one took just 5 plays. Patrick O'Hara, no good. So it's 27-7. Four possessions, 4 touchdowns for OU.
ESPN's College Football on ABC. Brought to you by Liberty Mutual Insurance. Responsibility. What's your policy? Cadillac, the new standard of the world. And Taco Bell. Think outside the bun.
2000 National Championship trophy on display inside the Switzer Center. James Hanna displaying his skills. That's his first career touchdown reception. Had his 6 catches all of last year out of Flower Mound, Texas. Bob Stoops. You know, he used to pick on his little brother Mark when he was a kid. He said all 3 of the older brothers picked on the youngest of the 4, Mark Stoops. He's kind of beating up his younger brother again here today.
Yeah, he's getting after him pretty good.
Mark Stoops says they did to me today what they used to do to me when we were a kid. They'd probably all be jailed right now. Marcus Joyner, the return out to the 18-yard line.
Sean, this is the touchdown right here. See, they're getting over here late. And they're going to end up playing a 3-deep zone. 1, 2, 3 deep. You got to get somebody on this down the slot because it puts the safety in the middle of the field in a tough position. He has a 2-way go. And once he does that, it's too late. They run it down the other side. And you can see right there, Bradham, who didn't get the jam on the slot receiver, just kills the coverage.
Mark Stoops coaching him up. Bob Stoops and Mark Stoops both admitted yesterday multiple times that Mark Stoops had to go for stitches when he was a little kid after playing with his older brothers who roughed him up a little bit. Ty Jones is in at tailback now for Florida State, but it's Ponder throwing to Burt Reed. And he's to the 32-yard line. Now bear in mind, last week Oklahoma led Utah State 21-0 and had to hang on for a 31-24 win. And that fourth quarter last week was scoreless. So there were a number of times Utah State had the ball with a chance to drive and score, and they could not. From the 32. Good catch in space by Ty Jones. Demontre Hurst tripped him up.
You know, watching that Oklahoma defense from a week ago, there were about maybe a dozen plays where they gave up big plays, and it wasn't because they were out of position or a couple times one guy fell, but they just didn't make a play on the ball, and that was their mantra all week long. Make the play that's there to be made.
And they gave up 12 big plays. They went for 335 yards for Utah State. The rest of the game they defended pretty well, but as Brent Venables said yesterday, all the plays count. Can't give up those 12 big plays. Ty Jones, the ball carrier, across the 35 to the 36. It'll bring up 3rd down and 6.
You know, one of the things that Jimbo Fisher has to balance right here, he has seen, if you were reading your game, he has seen his defense has not been able to stop Oklahoma at all. So he has to move the football and score, but he also has to take time off the clock. And that is a tough position to be in. So he's mixing the run in here, but he knows the way to get back into this thing is Ponder's arm.
Well, these are two teams that in recent years have leaned heavily on the pass. 3rd down and 5. Ponder hit as he throws, incomplete. In the direction of Taiwan Easterling. Tony Jefferson had the coverage, the true freshman. Brent Venables said yesterday Jefferson is going to be a superstar if he works hard because he has tremendous ability.
First guy that jumped off the screen when you put the tape on was Jefferson. He has great ball skills and he has excellent instinct.
John Powell to punt. Didn't punt at all last week. It was the first time since 1992 that Florida State didn't punt in the game. Ryan Broyles from the 12. Ankle tackled at the 20, or he had plenty of green grass ahead of him. Good tackle by Mike Harris. Time for the answer to today's question. What school holds the all-time record for the most consecutive wins at home? And the answer, the University of Miami, 58 straight home wins. And almost a full decade without losing. Of course, Bob Stoops has lost only twice on this field in his 12 years as head coach. The last one, the season opener, 2005. Against TCU. Prior to that, you have to go back to the regular season finale 2001 against Oklahoma State. Flag down, DeMarco Murray down at the 25-yard line, tackled by Greg Reed. Sooners have averaged 9 yards per snap against Mark Stoops' defense.
All sides. 98 defense. That's a 5-yard penalty. Repeat 1st down.
Marcus White. And here's a look at the Oklahoma possessions today. 3 80-yard touchdown drives and a shorty of 54.
And the only reason that they're 80 yards is because they didn't start the ball sooner. Because they've been going at will against this defense.
DeMarco Murray, that carry will get Oklahoma over 300 yards of total offense. There's still 5 minutes to go in this first half. That's their 15th first down. Second and 1. And Jones keeps it, and it looks like he has the first down. Tackled by Brandon Jenkins. Let's check in with Janine.
Well, Sean, you know, 2008 Heisman winner and former Sooner Sam Bradford gets the start for the Rams tomorrow when they host the Cardinals. And he told me last week's game he watched, and he said, I know everybody was hoping for a more commanding win and a victory, but we did get the victory. Any way you get it is important, but I hope that they learned a lot from their mistakes. Mistakes can be productive, and in watching what's going on here today, I'd say they did take notes.
Well, certainly Landry Jones played a lot better today. Just found Broyles for about 7. And now Broyles again for the first down. And Landry Jones says it's a lot different for him this year, Matt. Last year thrown into the fire when Bradford got hurt on a couple of occasions and finally went down for the year. He said this year it's his team. It's not Sam's team anymore. He is in command of the offense.
And everybody around him knows it. And they expect him to take charge out there, and it's a big difference.
Good play action fake and another good throw. And Broyles breaks free for about 3 more yards off a hit down to the 37. He's not very big, but we saw yesterday, Matt, he is solidly put together at 183 pounds.
Yeah, he's over a 300-pound bencher, but the thing that impressed me most about Broyles is when he walked into the room, man, he just lit it up. Has a great personality, big smile, great attitude. He's one of those guys that you want, you want him on your side.
8 catches already. He can bench 345. Ball looked like it slipped out of Jones's hand. And a big break for the Seminoles. Well, now they're going to rule it an incomplete pass. They were hoping it was a fumbled recovery. And that's what the Seminole coaches are saying. Jimbo Fisher's way out on the field on the far sideline. Yeah, that slipped out of his hand before his arm went forward. That's a fumble.
Yes. Marcus White is able to jump on top of that thing, number 98.
They should review that, and they will. And Oklahoma was smart. They tried to get up there quickly to go.
Previous play is under further review.
Big 12 replay officials, ACC officials on the field. But that should be overturned. It was continuous action, and Florida State recovered the ball.
Watch as he lifts. See how as he lifted his arm to come up, the throwing motion did not start forward. The ball popped out. That should be a fumble. And he had Cameron Kenny out there. They like that quick game. The corners have been playing off. That's where he was going to go. But again, you see the ball just pops out of his hand before he starts his throwing motion.
There were 4 Seminoles who all jumped on top of the ball. They credited Marcus White with the fumble recovery. And I think they're going to overturn this and give Florida State the ball just about at the 40-yard line.
It looks like that's what it should be. And if in fact that's the case, Florida State's got to do something with it here. They cannot fall any further behind. They're down right now by 20 points. And this offense from Oklahoma shows no signs of slowing down.
Bob Stoops, the head coach of Oklahoma, at the bottom. His younger brother Mark, 7 years younger.
How about
top of your screen. Bob Stoops, by the way, turned 50 on Thursday. So happy birthday to Coach Bob Stoops.
After further review, the result of the play is a fumble. The defense recovered the ball, 39-yard line, first down.
Good officiating.
Instance where the process works.
How about we had a chance to talk to Mark Stoops the other day, and we were talking about his brothers and all his coaching and all those things, and I said, can you take your brother? Oh, absolutely. In a heartbeat. First, didn't hesitate.
Yesterday we mentioned the quote of their high school coach back in Youngstown, Ohio, Coach Butchie, who said of all the Stoops brothers, the 4 of them, Mark was probably the best athlete, and Bob Stoops immediately said, no way, no way.
Sounds like brothers.
But Mark was the best baseball player. Bob said he was the best basketball player. And they're going to review it again. Maybe the process doesn't work quite as well as we just gave it credit for.
Maybe the spot.
Yeah.
I just got a kick out of talking to him because I don't care how old you are as brothers, whether you're 10 or whether you're 50. As soon as you say to a brother, "Can you take him?" Absolutely. First words out of his mouth, no hesitation.
It's funny because they did
The ball is placed on the 35-yard line, first down.
They did a lot of the things a lot of us who have brothers did when we were kids, younger brothers. They said they'd make Mark Stoops jump up and down on a bed, and then they try to cut his legs out from under him so he'd land on his face, and it's not hard to understand why he'd wind up with stitches. Here would come Dad, the late Ron Sr. Stoops, up to say, "Come on, you didn't really do that to your younger brother again." We think, based on the replays we've seen, the ball should actually be on the 40-yard line, not the 35-yard line. They moved it back 4 yards, but they moved it to the wrong place. That's the 40-yard line, not the 35.
And I think they're going to change it again.
Oh, this is bad. This is when the process drives you crazy, because it's not that hard. The ball should be on the 40, gentlemen.
The previous play is the review.
For the third time.
They're just going to make sure they have it at the right spot. You know what? You'd rather have them get it right.
Right.
Of course, you'd like it on the first try, but
the ball was recovered at the 40.
there's the ball popping out, and then you're going to see Marcus White get on top of it right there, and that's the 40-yard line.
Yep.
40-yard line. Ball is placed on the 40-yard line. First down.
Would have been funny if he just said, "I'm sure of it."
So here they come. 3.5 minutes to go, and all 3 timeouts left for Florida State. First time in 5 possessions the Sooners didn't score. Ponder threw it into a crowd. There were 3 or 4 Sooners right there. They were trying to set up a screen for Rodney Smith.
And that was not a good decision. That one he should have just pulled down and let it develop a little bit more, either throw it away or take off and run. But man, he took a chance throwing it inside there.
Not a good decision by one of the brightest guys in college football. Christian Ponder earned his undergraduate degree in finance, a BS, in 2.5 years. Completed his MBA this past spring and is now working toward a second graduate degree in sports management. He has a cum of 3.7 as a GPA. Pulls it down and runs. And is chased out of bounds at the 44 by Quentin Carter, the outstanding safety for Oklahoma.
And I think in that NBA program, I don't know if they had a class on throwing into screen plays. That's probably the one that the day he probably skipped it. But he could have used his legs on the previous play to get himself out of that trouble.
Said he credits his parents for his concentration on academics. They always preach to him that the classroom comes first. What an impressive young man Christian Ponder is when you talk to him. And another one up for grabs, intended for Rodney Smith. Coverage is starting to get a lot better, and Tony Jefferson in 2 weeks has been about as impressive a true freshman as you'll see on a college football field.
You're exactly right, Sean. This kid is going to do nothing but get better and better, and he's going to be a stud. This kid does so many things well. He runs well, like I said, great instinct, has a great feel for the ball. He's just starting. It's only his second game.
The defense holds after the turnover, and here's Sean Powell. 4th straight Florida State possession that ends with a punt. This one's a line drive out of bounds. Not good from one of the best punters in the country. They're going to mark it at the 30. Well, that might be reviewed several times before they snap it again. 26-yard punt. Tonight at 7:30 Eastern on ABC, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Motors into Richmond. With a 1-2 finish last weekend in Atlanta, Tony Stewart and Carl Edwards both emerged as championship contenders. It's the last race before the chase field is set. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Richmond at 7:30 on ABC. Clint Boyer in the last of those chase spots right now in pretty good shape. Ryan Newman, Jamie McMurray, Mark Martin all have a realistic chance to move into those coveted spots tonight. Marcus White took down DeMarco Murray, and we're under 3 minutes to go in the first half. 2-yard gain for Murray, fifth-year senior out of Las Vegas, Nevada.
Well, Landry Jones has had his way here today with his Florida State defense, and he's done it the courtesy of this offensive line because they have given him all kinds of time to throw.
Not as much time that time, and excellent coverage. Crowd wanted to flag, but it looked from here like Xavier Rhodes had inside position on Ryan Broyles and was actually in better shape to catch the ball.
Well, they just locked up again.
Or maybe not.
It's pretty good coverage.
Yes. We're very high here, so when we say it looks from here, it'd be like watching from a satellite dish. Satellite, rather. Here comes pressure on Jones, and they finally do get to him. Right up the middle, Everett Dawkins, sophomore out of Spartanburg, South Carolina.
Well, they brought 5, and they came from the left side, and Dawkins is able to break free on the inside. He just beats the right guard there. Just get to the outside. They brought an extra man. The first time all day that they've gotten pressure.
Timeout called by Florida State. We'll check in now with Robert Flores in our Times Square studios in New York.
Sean, earlier on ESPN's College Game Day, the guys talked about an advantage Miami might have in the special teams game. That advantage is bearing out. They've returned 2 kicks. This punt goes 79 yards. Travis Benjamin pressing the X button for a little turbo boost, and it's 20-17 Ohio State. But potentially this could be a disastrous day for the ACC. Virginia Tech, a ranked team, loses at home to James Madison. Maybe as many 5 ranked teams from the ACC could fall. James Madison, notable NFL alumni. Charles Haley, former teammate of who? Matt Millen.
And Christian Ponder, Robert's very well aware of that. He said this is a great opportunity, this game right here for the ACC. He thinks the conference gets a bad rap in football. Tress Way to punt. Really, this game has developed into a sputtering affair.
Well, James Madison goes down there and beats.
False start, 30 of the offense, 5-yard penalty. It's still 4th down.
Beats Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech probably let Boise State beat them 2 times. And that's tough. You can't carry it with you. Got to let it go and move on. James Madison plays good football. He mentioned Charles Haley, who will probably be a Hall of Famer. Gary Clark, also great player to come out of James Madison.
Yeah, they won the FCS National Championship a few years ago under Mickey Matthews. Booming punt by Tress Way, who punted a 85-yarder last week against Utah State. 3rd longest in school history. That one's not quite that long. It's down at the 32. Didn't get a great bounce after a long kick in the air. Still good for 52 yards. Tonight, another marquee matchup. This is a Monster Saturday with matchups of teams that have played one another in the past for national championships. That's true of Penn State and Alabama. 7 o'clock tonight on ESPN. College football primetime presented by Hampton Hotels. 7 o'clock ESPN tonight. Alabama beat Penn State in the '79 Sugar Bowl to win their 10th national championship, and a rivalry was born. On their own 32, 1st and 10. And now it looks like Oklahoma wants a timeout.
False start.
Nope, first
84
penalty.
of the offense, 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
So on that Alabama-Penn State game, Alabama is a better team. But Penn State, they're young, but they're very good on the outside with the receivers. Robert Bolden, the young freshman, he's gonna be under pressure, but more pressure is going to be on that offensive line. I think Penn State's defense, they'll bend, they'll break a little bit, but they're better on defense than people think they are.
Throwback screen to Burt Reed, and he's to the 32. Got the 5 penalty yards back. With 2 minutes to go in the half, 2 timeouts left for Florida State, down by 20.
They've got to put 6 on the board here before the half to make this thing competitive and to help themselves, give a little confidence going into the second half.
They put it on the 31, so 2nd and 11. Ponder, incomplete pass for Willie Halstead, sophomore. James Coley, the offensive coordinator, said is really coming on strong. He had only 1 catch last year as a true freshman, but they like his talent.
Now you're 3rd and long again here. And it falls squarely back on the shoulders of Ponder. Ponder's been solid, nothing spectacular here. The first drive, he looked lights out. And then since that time, they've gotten pressure on him. And he's just been okay.
1 for his last 5. Just did get it off at 2 seconds on the play clock, and that throw's too high. Burt Reed, the intended receiver, and again, good coverage by Jamel Fleming. Well, this week, these Oklahoma defensive backs are in position again, but they're making plays when they're in position. Last week, a lot of times they were in position, just whiffed.
Exactly. They make a play on the ball, make the play that presents itself. That's what they preached all week long, and they've done that so far this game.
5th straight punt after that terrific start for Florida State. They march right down the field on their first possession. Sean Powell, another low ball into the wind. Caught on the bounce by Ryan Broyles. And he's dragged down at the 36, and then a late flag thrown. Mr. Alexander made the tackle. And Juwan Harley was upset when he saw the flag.
Dead ball, personal foul with a late hit, 98 defense, 15 additional yards, first down.
Marcus White called for the personal foul to take the ball across midfield.
I don't know about that one. But they throw the flag and they tack it on, so away we go, and out comes Landry Jones, who's had just a great first half here. This offense has had their way with this Florida State defense the whole half. They've thrown it well, they've protected very well, and they've run the ball well.
Landry Jones, the leading freshman passer in the country last year. He threw for just under 3,200 yards. He hits Moses Madu, goes leaping out of bounds. At the 43-yard line, that's a gain of 6.
One of the things that really opens this Oklahoma Sooner offense up is that both those running backs, Madu included, and Murray, they catch the ball extremely well. It's like having a running back and a receiver in the backfield.
Such a well-educated crowd, too. It's almost completely silent when the Sooners are getting ready to snap the ball. Dewan Miller bounced off the hit and gets chopped down inside the 15. Poor tackling by Florida State and a lot of extra yardage for Dewan Miller Jr. from New Jersey.
Well, let's be a little bit more specific. Very poor tackling out of Greg Reed in this first half. Yes, he's an exciting return man. Yes, he has cover skills, but he's a small man and he is not wrapping his arms. And that's something he's going to have to do, or they'll continually take advantage of him. He's bounced off and missed a few tackles here in the first half, and this has been big for this Oklahoma Sooner offense.
Here they come on a blitz. Landry Jones looking for Dewan Miller again, incomplete. 1:07 to go in the half, and all 3 timeouts left for the Sooners. Xavier Rhodes had the coverage.
They're locked up man-to-man, and that's why he went down that right sideline. Thought he'd be able to beat him, but Rhodes beat the coverage.
Quick tempo again. Jones to the far sideline, looking for Cameron Kenny, incomplete.
Well, Landry Jones he's been flawless here in the first half. He's done whatever he's wanted to do. They started off with the short stuff, but he's pushed the ball down the field, and he's been very, very accurate.
The local paper here today had an article questioning whether he was the right man for the job. He might be answering that question today.
Jones dumps it off for DeMarco Murray inside the 5 and down at the 1. Xavier Rhodes prevented a touchdown. First and goal, Oklahoma, 56 seconds in the half.
Big Ben Haburn out there on that screen. You're going to see the center come on out, number 61, and Murray just uses patience and stays behind him, waits for the block, and then gets what he can get at the end. Well done by this Oklahoma Sooner offensive line.
321 yards passing now for Landry Jones. After he had 217 the entire game last week. Murray to the goal line. Touchdown, Oklahoma.
Sean, this offense is just mauling this Florida State defense. I mean, really, they're doing whatever they want to do.
Almost entirely through the air, just 51 yards rushing for Oklahoma, but why run it when you're throwing it with the effectiveness they are? Kevin Wilson would like to be balanced. In recent years, they've had a hard time running it. In order to be balanced, they've had to run it because they've always thrown it well here. Murray carried it in. His second rushing touchdown. Engineered the drive by Landry Jones.
Well, he's been spot on all game long. And he's been throwing it to a variety of receivers, inside, outside, short, and deep. And he's been accurate, and he's piled up the yardage. While it's been a great day for Landry Jones, this Seminole defense, it's been much less than that. They've been getting mauled.
321 yards and 3 touchdowns for Landry Jones. Ponder got off to that quick start. The offense for Florida State hasn't done much lately. For Oklahoma, touchdown drives of 80 yards, 80, 54, 80, and this one 49 yards in just 57 seconds.
Well, you wanted to get your confidence into the young quarterback, and yeah, he played a lot last year, but every year is a new year. And they started off last week, and by his own admission, did not think he played very well. And so they wanted to get him a little bit of confidence. They started the game off just by throwing it underneath, a couple of short things, but it was evident early that A, he was on, and B, this offensive line was protecting extremely well, and they've taken advantage of that the whole first half.
Landry Jones told us yesterday he wants to be a pastor someday. Said he wasn't particularly religious until he arrived here at Oklahoma, but has had a deepening of his faith. Tress Way will kick off.
That's a 30-second team timeout.
Florida State didn't have enough men on the field. And for all of you folks in the Dallas area, Big 12 fans, for everything you need to know about the teams you care about the most, we invite you to log on to ESPNDallas.com. Comprehensive coverage of OU, Texas, TCU, the Cowboys, the Rangers, high school football. And check out the daily Dallas Sports Center, only on ESPNDallas.com. Those are great sites. We have ESPNBoston.com, where I live, and it's a daily stop for me.
It's wicked fun.
It's not hard to log on. Well, they're having a great time here today. After a disappointing season of a year ago, they were 8-5 as the Sooners were beset by one key injury after another, most notably to Sam Bradford and Jermaine Gresham, their outstanding tight end. Oklahoma had 4 players taken in the first round of the draft. 3 of the top 4 picks, and Gresham was the 21st pick. LaMarcus Joyner taken down near the 20. Well, those guys have been healthy all year. Certainly would have been much better than 8-5. For Sam Bradford was the #1 pick overall, St. Louis Rams. Gerald McCoy to the Tampa Bay Bucks with pick #3. 1 pick later,
The offensive tackle, Trent Williams, went to the Redskins. And then Jermaine Gresham, even after missing the year with a knee injury, still picked by the Cincinnati Bengals, number 21 overall.
I know Marvin Lewis is excited with what he can do. Jermaine Gresham in that offense. With a tight end who can block and run the way he does.
Jermaine Thomas taken down by Jeremy Beal. And it looks like Florida State will be content to get into the locker room here and try to regroup. These fans roar. They were a little on edge after the shaky performance last week against Utah State. This is more like what they were expecting from their Sooners this year. .313 passing yards, second most in a half in Oklahoma history. Here's Janine.
Well, Sean, Oklahoma seems to be moving the ball at will. Jimbo, where are your biggest breakdowns defensively right now?
Right now, they're controlling us up front. They're getting pass protection, getting guys open down the field. They're not really making a lot of yards in the run game, but they're picking up their third downs, and they're just keeping us off balance, moving the pocket, and doing a good job. And we're not tackling well in space. We're missing a lot of tackles in space right now.
Now, when you're down by 27 at halftime, what do your guys most need to hear from you right now?
Right now, we got to play it one play at a time. We got the ball coming out second half. We got to get a good drive, get some points, get back in the ball game. Anything can happen. Oklahoma was up 21 at halftime, up 21-0 last week. We just got to be positive, play one play at a time. Don't worry about the scoreboard, and play with a lot of heart and pride.
Thanks, Jimbo. We'll see you second half.
19 first downs, 364 yards for Oklahoma. They lead 34-7. Stay tuned for a complete halftime report after these messages.
Welcome to the Cooper Tires halftime report. Landry Jones having the time of his life in the first half, and a 34-7 beatdown in the first half. John Saunders alongside of Jesse Palmer. This is one of the games we've marqueed all week long. You couldn't see this coming.
Well, there were a lot of people marveling at Florida State's ability defensively last week, giving up only 2 field goals against Sanford. Oklahoma providing different problems, a little bit of a different animal right now. Landry Jones, much more efficient. DeMarco Murray getting involved, running the football. We've seen him involved in the vertical passing game as well.
Oklahoma's defense looked bad last week against Utah State. They look good today. Elsewhere, the other.
And welcome back to Norman, Oklahoma at the half. Bob Stoops leading Florida State. Oklahoma 34 and the Seminoles 7. That lead is against his brother Mark, who's coordinating the defense on the other side. Very tough half for Florida State defensively.
Well, it was like they couldn't get any pressure, and really Oklahoma did whatever they wanted to do. Landry Jones threw the ball all over them. They didn't run the ball very well, only because they didn't want to. On the other hand, Christian Ponder started off fast, and then that was it. They put the brakes on. They haven't really been able to do anything since that first drive.
Landry Jones threw for 321 yards in that first half. That is just shy of the record for passing yards in a half. Sam Bradford threw for 350 yards in a half against North Texas back in 2007. 3 touchdowns in the half for Landry Jones. Chessway kicks off for Oklahoma. LaMarcus Joyner trying to go cross field, and he gets chopped down shy of the 20-yard line by Javon Harris. Time to take a look at our Pacific Life game summary. And fittingly, it starts with Landry Jones on target early for a touchdown to Ryan Broyles.
Well, and he didn't stop there. And he threw to a variety of receivers. And then they just put it back into the hands of the OU defense. And since that opening drive, they've just been in control. They've gotten pressure. They've not given any plays up down the field. It's been all Oklahoma.
Florida State went right down the field in its first possession of the football game. Haven't done anything since. They punted 5 times in the first half, but they did not punt at all last week against Samford. Jonathan Nelson, pretty good pop on Jermaine Thomas. But it's
good for just about a 5-yard gain. Nelson had a tough week last week, but coaches said we're not worried. He has a resume from a year ago that was impressive. He just had a bad day. He's been better today.
Yeah, he's been a lot better, and he's a good player. And he's one of their seasoned guys back there, so you'd expect him to bounce back, and he has.
2nd and 5. Good hole. And plenty of running room for Jermaine Thomas up the near sideline. And out of bounds in Oklahoma territory at the 41. Quentin Carter the tackle.
Well, Jermaine Thomas gets some nice blocking inside, then uses his right here. Nicely done. And then just bounces to the outside and starts to use his speed, but not before he's run out of there. Down the field there by Quentin Carter.
David Spurlock, the right guard. Ryan McMahon, the center, with good blocking. 34-yard gain, longest play from scrimmage today for Florida State. Ty Jones in it, running back now. And they have a little option look. Ponder kept it and went for 3. Here's Janine Edwards.
Well, Sean, I asked Coach Bob Stoops, how do you fight complacency when you go into halftime with a 27-point lead? And he said, we're not just playing 4 quarters. We're not just building for one game. We are building for the entire year here. Complacency is not an option.
Bob said yesterday he wasn't satisfied with the performance last week. Coaches rarely are satisfied. He said typically the best teams he's had at Oklahoma have improved week to week, and he anticipates that this one will. Clearly they have from week 1 to week 2. Taiwan Easterling, the intended receiver. Jonathan Nelson there to help break it up.
There's a nice play by Jonathan Nelson. That ball was in the air just a little bit too long, hung a tad, and Nelson does a good job of coming from the inside of the field and playing what they call center field, able to get a hand in there and knock that thing away. See, Ponder just puts a little bit too much air. Nicely done by Nelson.
Nelson became a starter for the final 3 games of last season. Christian Ponder now 1 for his last 7. Pass for just 80 yards. And that one's thrown up for grabs. Again, they're trying to go to that quick screen for Willie Halstead. And he was surrounded by Sooners. Imagine they'd go for this 4th and 6 comfortably into Oklahoma territory.
Well, you heard Jimbo Fisher speaking to Janine as he came off the field. He's got to take it one at a time, one series at a time, one play at a time.
You surprised they're not going for this?
Yeah,
they're down by 27. Oklahoma scoring just about every time they touch the ball. It's makeable down in distance. You're inside the 40.
Yeah, I agree with you. I would have. Hey, that's why we're up here.
These are the decisions Jimbo Fisher's never had to make. Not been a head coach prior to this season. 6th punt of the day for Sean Powell on a fair catch made by Ryan Broyles. 32-yard punt, well done by Powell. Ball marked on the 5-yard line. Jimbo Fisher, highly regarded offensive coordinator, part of the national championship winning team at LSU.
Well, he's had success wherever he's been, and it won't be any different here. He's just going to take him a little bit of time, get his system implemented. He's got to get that other side of the ball taken care of, and that just comes down to getting good recruits.
Landry Jones under center. DeMarco Murray, the lone back. He finds a hole and slides almost out to the 10-yard line for a gain of 5.
I would expect we'd see a heavy dose of the running game here in the second half.
They want to get it going. Kevin Wilson says they're trying to be more balanced. Really no reason to run it today, the way they were throwing the ball with such great effectiveness in the first half. Murray runs to the 16-yard line. 6 more and another first down for Oklahoma. Trouble with the snap, and Murray has to fall on it back inside the 5.
That one just got away from the center right there. Ben Hayburn, 61. A little too much up on that.
Hayburn, sophomore, frustrated. He was injured the last part of last season. Wasn't able to play in the rivalry game against Oklahoma State or in their bowl game. The win over Stanford at the Sun Bowl. Ryan Broyles for a very short gain to the 8-yard line. Greg Reed made the tackle.
And he wrapped up, which we had not seen him do in the first half.
Jones, middle screen for Ryan Broyles. And he got it to the 20, but still about 6.5 yards short of the first down. And Oklahoma's going to have to punt for just the second time today. Kendall Smith made the tackle for Florida State.
And a good job of Florida State's defensive line to transition from rushing and then turning around and getting back down the field to be able to get in on that tackle as well.
Greg Reed back for the punt. Samford punted to him only once last week, but they paid for it. He brought it back 74 yards for a touchdown. He led the nation in punt returns last year. An absolute bomb by Way, and it's muffed by Reed. And he manages to get it back at the 15-yard line. This guy might be the best punter in the country. That was a 60-yard punt with a little wind at his back. And Reed did well to get it back after he muffed it. Are you ready for some football? Monday Night Football kicks off this Monday with a doubleheader at 7 Eastern. The Baltimore Ravens take on the New York Jets. Then at 10:15 Eastern at San Diego and Kansas City. Monday Night Football on ESPN. Coverage begins at 5 Eastern. Monday Night Countdown served by Applebee's. Sean McDonough, Matt Millen, Janine Edwards. Producer Bo Garrett, our director Mike Roig. Delighted to have you with us. From Norman, Oklahoma, 70th consecutive sellout here at Oklahoma Memorial Stadium. That's a school record. Ponder's pass thrown up for grabs, looking for Willie Halstead, but it had just as good a chance of being picked off by Jonathan Nelson.
Yeah, Jonathan Nelson's he's just sitting back there waiting on it. You can see him, he's going to rotate into it. He's eyeballing the quarterback the whole way. Yeah, he's lucky that one wasn't picked. Well done by Nelson, who's he played himself a good game today. Really not bad a week ago. He made some mistakes not playing the ball. There you saw him playing the ball.
Ponder last year completed 69% of his passes, second best in a single season in the history of Florida State. Only Charlie Ward had a better season. Jermaine Thomas carries there, across the 20 and out of bounds. But today, after an accurate start, he's 1 for his last 9, 8 for 20 for the game. This was after he went 12 for 14 for the game last week against Samford. We played a half. He left at the half with Florida State ahead 42-3.
40%, not a big day. And they needed him. We said it from the start. They needed him to be able to carry this thing. They needed to carry this offense.
Oh boy, throw it right into the hands of the defender, Travis Lewis. And the tremendous linebacker brought it back to the 8-yard line.
You know, Sean, he never took his eyes off of where he was throwing. Telegraphed that throw the whole time. I want you to watch this right here. I want you to watch his head and watch his eyes. He's eyeballing it. Now, all these defenders are watching the very same thing. He's not moved his head 1 ounce, and there's your pick. That one's completely unpondered.
14-yard return by Travis Lewis, the senior.
considered one of the best linebackers in the country, certainly a candidate to win OU's 5th Butkus Award. Best linebacker in the country. 5 tackles today for Travis. Team leader, their leading tackler each of the last 2 years. And DeMarco Murray down to the 6th. We every week get to enjoy speaking with the players and coaches. We mentioned Jenna J of Florida State, very thoughtful young man, very impressive. Travis Lewis, one of the looser individuals we talked to.
Funny, wasn't he?
Very funny yesterday. He said he wants to be a chef someday.
Yeah.
He's majoring in sociology, but someday when his football days are over, he wants to go to culinary school, become a chef, and open his own restaurant.
He had one great line.
Landry Jones throws too far for Trent Rattery.
He said, real simple, if there's no grease in it, it can't be food.
Yeah, he talked about yesterday one of his favorite things to make is this sort of pizza egg roll. He also has an interesting haircut with the stars on the left side of the. I was going to try that myself today, but I don't think that would work. But yeah, he makes this kind of pizza-ish thing that he sticks inside an egg roll and then fries the whole thing up. It didn't sound healthy.
No, it didn't. It was a cholesterol slider, but he said it tasted great.
Landry Jones had a lot of time. Throws to Rattery into the end zone. Touchdown, Oklahoma.
Great effort by Rattery, the tight end. Refuses to go down. So it's a great effort by Rattery, and then it's an awful job again of tackling. Xavier Rhodes has him, get him on the ground. He doesn't do it, but credit Rattery for taking that one into the end zone. Also, Landry Jones did a good job of seeing the whole field and went to his 3rd option in making that throw.
It's the first career touchdown for Rattery out of Weatherford, Oklahoma. Junior, came here as a walk-on. Had 11 catches last year. Extra point good by Patrick O'Hara. 4th touchdown pass of the day for Landry Jones. When we come back, Matt's been milling around again. He ruminates on the one position that stands out of all others at Oklahoma when we come back.
ESPN's College Football on ABC. Brought to you by The Home Depot. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. Pacific Life. For insurance, annuities, and investments, choose Pacific Life. The power to help you succeed. And Verizon, the official wireless service provider of the NFL.
Look inside the Sam Noble Oklahoma Museum of Natural History, located here on campus. A lot of great exhibits, including that Hall of Ancient Life that takes you back on a journey about 300 million years. That's probably how long it seems that Florida State's defense has been on the field today. 41-7. If you're a Seminole fan, you have to be thinking different year, different coordinator, different schemes, but same defense that they saw for a lot of last year when Florida State was 108th in the country in total team. Press way short kickoff by his standards. LaMarcus Joyner right up the near hash marks, and he got flattened near the 25-yard line. Ronell Lewis.
The hammer. The hammer is what they call him. Ronell Lewis. He is a special team extraordinaire. He plays, he runs well. He has a feel for kickoff coverage and special teams in general. But watch this, boom. And he just nicked him. He didn't even get a full body on him.
He got that nickname, the Hammer, last year as a freshman, and he laid a couple of people out on special teams. From a small town here in Oklahoma, Joyner now back on his feet. Matter of fact, for most of his high school career, he played 8-man football.
Correct.
They think he's going to be a star. Was a linebacker. They've moved him to defensive end. They think that's where his future is.
You know what he does really well, Sean, is he gets this first 2 steps out of his stance is pretty darn good. And when he gets a feel, he's just learning how to pass rush. So once he gets a feel for his hands and how to get his body lean going, he's got a chance to be pretty good. No substitute for speed when you're playing this game. And Oklahoma, they have it in spades.
Ponder out of the shotgun on 1st and 10 for Florida State. Reverse action. And Burt Reed taken down for a loss of a yard by Quentin Carter, the terrific safety who saw that one coming. Now it's time for our weekly installment of Milling Around as Matt ruminates on a number of subjects as we go to the various campuses. What's on your mind today?
Well, you know, you start thinking about Oklahoma and what jumps out at you, and really it's right there, right in front of you. I can't remember an Oklahoma team or a time in Oklahoma history when they didn't have a great running back. It started in '52 with Billy Vessels, and then then there's Joe Donnelly, had Billy Sims as a Heisman Trophy winner, Steve Owens as a Heisman Trophy winner. We have an interception right here. But Oklahoma has always had great runners, and you think through them, there's a ton of them. You go to Greg Pruitt and Joe Washington and Leon Cross-White, and I could name 20 guys off the top of my head.
I think you just did. Jamel Fleming, by the way, who had the interception, and that's back-to-back interceptions for Ponder on their last 2 possessions.
Maybe my most favorite running back of all time here at Oklahoma. I love Billy Sims. I love Kenny King, Spencer Tillman, but Greg Pruitt was awesome. And the reason, I mean, he said he would do it, and he went out and did it. We called him Do It Pruitt. I had a chance to play with him with the Raiders years later, but he had a shirt that he wore all the time. Said hello on the front and goodbye on the back. And he put that into play many, many times.
There's Landry Jones. And to capitalize immediately on the interception by Fleming. And the pass incomplete. Fleming, his 2nd interception this season. He had one last week. Well, I was surprised to hear Bob Stoops tell us yesterday that he grew up in Youngstown, Ohio. An Oklahoma fan. Just loved their style of play with all the option and the ball fakes, the quarterbacks who could run. And he mentioned Joe Washington and Greg Pruitt as a couple of his favorites. Royals near a 1st down, a little bit shy as he goes out at the 21-yard line. And you said the same thing. Growing up in Pennsylvania, you used to love watching Oklahoma.
I loved watching OU. I mean, there was a time, you think about it, Greg Pruitt came through, then Joe Washington, then Horace Ivory, Elvis Peacock, Kenny King, Billy Sims. I mean, there were year after year. Heck, their 2nd-team guys were studs. Kenny King might be the fastest fullback who ever played on the field. And they just had guy after guy, year after year. Switzer did a fantastic job of recruiting, and they did and they're doing that again right now.
Holding 69 of the offense, 10-yard penalty, it's still 3rd down.
And this guy, he has a chance to be the next one. He didn't even get to Adrian Peterson and Quentin Griffin and all those guys. There was so many of them, but DeMarco Murray's got a chance to be that type of player as well.
Well, he's running out of time. He's a senior. He is high on a lot of their all-time lists. Started the day 13th in career rushing at Oklahoma, under 2,700 yards. In a quiet day today, just 33 yards rushing. That last run negated by the penalty against Derek Mensick. Jones throws to Kenny Stills, the freshman, and we get them back to the 22-yard line with Xavier Rhodes in coverage. And perhaps a chance to build a little confidence now for the field goal kicker. That was the biggest question mark. They had open competition in the preseason. Patrick O'Hara won it. Got a strong leg, but he isn't always that accurate. 6 out of 9 last season. Made his only try last week from 32 yards against Utah State, but it was a low duck hook that was lucky to get through. That one looked a lot better, and it's good from 39 yards out. 44-7, everything going right for Oklahoma today. And we're back in Oklahoma, where the longest active home winning streak is about to be extended by the Sooners to 32 in a row as they are routing Florida State 44-7. Boise State on the blue turf, the 2nd longest home winning streak. And then Utah
Disappointing day for Christian Ponder. Everybody we talked to was so upbeat in that Florida State camp, Matt. And we saw them toward the end of last season at Boston College when you could just tell there were a lot of issues, a lot of unhappy campers, kind of a dysfunctional family at that time. A lot of speculation about what was going to happen with Coach Bowden. But everybody we talked to this week, they're all on the same page, saying the same things. It's a much more unified team.
Sometimes you got to go through a little pain.
Yeah.
Today they're getting a bunch of it.
Easy to be all upbeat when you want to know off a big win. Some of the same issues re-emerged for Florida State today, and Reed barely made the 15-yard line on the kickoff return. Here's Robert Flores in our Times Square studio in New York.
All right, Sean, Matt, time now for our AT&T All-America Player of the Week update, and it's Dante Warren of South Dakota leading them to an upset win over the Golden Gophers of Minnesota in their home opener. 5 touchdowns in all, 3 through the air, 352 yards. Text VOTE to 345-345 and a chance at a trip to the national championship. Some big numbers there in Norman for the Sooners, Sean.
Yeah, indeed. They're up to 403 yards of offense, Robert, with almost a quarter and a half to go. Here's Jermaine Thomas. And that's a loss of about 4. Jamel Fleming. He and his other fellow starting cornerback, DeMontre Hurst, took a lot of heat last week. They both played exceptionally well today.
Well, these corners for Oklahoma today, they've tackled well, they've forced well, their safeties have played the ball extremely well, and then their defensive line has also, in fact, we really haven't talked much about the linebackers because the defensive lines controlled the line of scrimmage the whole day.
Loss of 4, 2nd and 14. Ponder flushed. And he's tripped up from behind, but a good run out to the 22. I guess the question I would have for you, Matt, is with this Florida State offense, they have the veteran returning starters on the offensive line. They have Ponder. But where are the playmakers?
Yeah,
they have a lot of guys running around at wide receiver and at running back. But who's the stud playmaker for Jimbo Fisher?
Well, he doesn't have one. I mean, really, right? His guy really is Christian Ponder. That's the guy who's they've got to follow his lead, but he has receivers who don't do a really good job of getting open. There's some young ones, and he doesn't have the stud running back that you're looking for.
Oh, man, wide open. It's Jermaine Thomas out of the backfield. First down out to the 37-yard line. Jonathan Nelson, the stop for Oklahoma. 15-yard gain. First down, Florida State.
But, Sean, I will say this. At every level, an outstanding quarterback can raise the level of play of everybody. And that's what Ponder has to be. He started off this game looking like it was going to happen, and then it hasn't happened. In order for them to win, he's going to have to carry this offense. It's just that simple.
Considered one of the top pro quarterback prospects. Boy, is that a blown coverage, and the ball's dropped. Lonnie Pryor, the fullback, could not have been more wide open right in the middle of the field in Oklahoma territory, and he just flat dropped it.
Yeah, he's got to make that catch, and I'm not putting this on, this is flatly on Pryor. He's got to catch this ball. But a better thrown ball would have given him an opportunity to make a big play instead of having to turn around on him. You still have to catch the ball.
Ponder now 9 for 24. Chris Thompson straight ahead. For very little, got near the 40 before he's driven back. There are 3 sides to every case: the defense, prosecution, and the whole truth. Don't miss the series premiere of ABC's The Whole Truth, Wednesday, September 22nd at 10, 9 Central on ABC. Stars Rob Morrow, who starred in Northern Exposure, and Maura Tierney, who starred in ER and Rescue Me.
You went The Whole Truth. Hadn't been a banner day for the ACC.
No. And a horrible day for the ACC. Virginia Tech lost at home to James Madison. Georgia Tech lost to a Kansas team that was dreadful last week. Miami's losing at Ohio State. Ponder's pass in the direction of Burt Reed, tailed over his head. 2 for his last 14 is Christian Ponder. And another part of the story today, I mean, he came here being mentioned as a Heisman Trophy candidate. This is the kind of game on national TV that takes you right out of that kind of talk.
Kind of dashes those hopes. But it's a long season. It's a long season. And he's going to have to pick his game up. Like I said, he's going to be it for this offense. He's going to have to carry this offense.
2 punters are good. Sean Powell, a good punt. Fair catch made by Ryan Broyles. 42-yard kick, no return. Here's Janine.
Well, Sean, there's a breakthrough medical device making its national debut at this game today for the Sooners. This is called Ice Dot. It is a plastic medical data device that is attached to all their jerseys, first time ever being worn in a game. This contains critical personal medical information and emergency contact information that first responders can access instantly if a player is injured. And this was developed here by Sooner Athletics and a company called Invisible Bracelet. And guys, this would be priceless for the general public as well.
Sounds like Janine's a shareholder. Moses Madu tried to turn the corner and could not.
That is a great idea, though.
It's a great athletic department, a great place to come for college sports. Joe Castiglione, the athletic director here, and one of the very best, most highly respected in the country. And of course, a lot of relief in these parts that Oklahoma staying in the Big 12. The Big 12 is, for the most part, staying together. Nebraska and Colorado are going to be leaving, but for a long time it looked like the Big 12 was about to disintegrate. Good work by Dan Beebe, the commissioner, and others to keep it together. There'll be a 10-team conference going forward once the Huskers leave for the Big 10 and Colorado heads off to the Pac-12. Trey Miller, the fullback, with the catch. They like his talent. He's a true freshman. Bob Stoops said when he first heard about the possibility of going to the Pac-10, he was excited by it.
Sure.
Because all those Texas schools were going with him, and then you had the West Coast and the potential recruiting that he could mine out there. And he said once he realized it wasn't going to happen, he was just as happy with that end result because they recruit in Texas. They wanted to stay with the Texas schools. And there's a personal foul penalty after an incomplete pass to Cameron Kenny. Here came the hit from the freshman LaMarcus Joyner, and then the flag.
And that's a tough one for LaMarcus Joyner because he doesn't know. I'm assuming he didn't know the ball was through his hands. You're drawing a beat on him and you're driving on it.
We have a dead ball, personal foul, hands to the helmet, number 20, defense, 15-yard penalty. That's an automatic first down.
Nice backpedal, nice break on the ball. He had a chance. He could have pulled up on that.
Yeah. Joyner, part of a very highly touted recruiting class here at Florida State. He's a true freshman out of Fort Lauderdale, the USA Today National Defensive Player of the Year. The 4th player to win that award to sign with Florida State. The other 3 were pretty good. How about Derek Brooks, David Warren, and Antonio Cromartie? And here comes another flag. Broyles is being held. Greg Reed had the coverage.
Well, Broyles had himself a good game, but Greg Reed, he's had a rough one here today. He's had a rough one in coverage and in tackling. And now Broyles, his eyes are still back. You can't do that. Got to get your eyes out of there.
Holding, number 5 of the defense. The foul occurred against an eligible pass receiver. 10 yards, previous spot, automatic first down.
Mark Stoops still working hard on that far sideline. These defenses are similar. Some of their base schemes. Ryan Broyles pushed out of bounds. That might be another flag. Yes, it is.
That should have been.
And it's Reed again. And I think he might get the hook here from Coach Stoops.
Well, they're picking on him now, and Broyles wants him.
And Reed's got a little bit of that old-time Florida State swagger, too. Yeah. Not bashful.
We have a dead ball, personal foul.
Ooh.
Late hit out of 5 of the defense, 15 additional yards, first down. We have an official timeout for an injured player.
Well,
timeout.
The young man on the bench for Florida State, it looked like he shoved him toward the bench, ought to be thrown out of the game. We just got a quick glimpse of it, but if it was as it appeared on that replay, whoever that was after Reed gave him the shove, who gave him another shove, I think it was 74. That'd be Cameron Irving.
Well, they have like 374s.
Well, that's one thing, but then, you know, you're trying to help him, and then it looks, you gave him a shove.
Now, that shouldn't happen.
No.
Okay? That shouldn't happen at all. But
go to the locker room, son.
But I'm going to tell you a little secret, okay? In the old days, now don't tell anybody this. In the old days, that was an old Raider rule, okay? The old Raider rule was if somebody ever came into the sidelines, you never let them get out of there without taking some kind of little extra.
Really?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And did those
you never let them get
flagged,
back,
or did you just get away with it?
You learn how to do it. You learn how to do it. But I mean that's you don't do that.
Well, you were part of one of my favorite extracurriculars ever, because growing up a Patriots fan, I was happy when they beat the Raiders in a big playoff game.
Oh, I remember that.
And then I think you inadvertently hit the general manager of the Patriots with your helmet on the field after the game.
No, it was not a helmet. And
it was not?
No, they tried to claim that. It was a perfect right cross. Yeah, perfect right cross. However, I did get hauled in front of a triumvirate in that one, and
that cost you some cash?
It did. It did. And but they did determine that I didn't hit him with a helmet.
Yeah. And that was pretty obvious, because I remember seeing a picture after your helmet's down by your side and your hands kind of following through. It was Patrick Sullivan.
It was a little.
Why were you so upset? Just because you lost, or did he say something that aggravated you?
Well, actually, here's what really happened. What happened was he was talking to Howie Long the whole game. Howie Long, of course, the Hall of Fame player. Howie's about 6'5", maybe 275, and I thought he was going to beat Howie up. So I came to his rescue. That's what I'm going with.
That's a good story.
What do you think?
No wonder you got fined.
Believable?
No, that's why you didn't get away with it. There's Moses Madu again for Oklahoma. 3-yard gain. We check in with Robert Flores, a real gentleman who never hit anybody after the game.
That's true. Coming up, ABC after football, NASCAR Sprint Cup Series in Richmond. Clint Boyer holding on to the 12th and final spot for the chase for the Cup. The final race before NASCAR's playoffs. Coming up next on ABC.
Yeah, I like his chances. He'd have to have a real rough ride there, Boyer, and then others would have to have a good day. I think Boyer's going to make it.
And then the chase starts, correct?
Then the chase is on. It's a great time for those of us who love racing.
We have a timeout, Oklahoma. That's a 30-second team timeout.
Now, I know he's in great shape, because I was watching Mike Massaro. I watch all the racing programs on ESPN. And I watched Mike Massaro the other day, and I believe he was on Mike and Mike. And he was saying, you know, Boyer, he'd have to have a tough day, and Ryan Newman would have to have a great day. And I know that you concur with that.
Absolutely.
You've run all the numbers on the different possibilities, who has to finish where.
Take it from a guy who loves to ride his backhoe.
Yes, you do.
Exactly.
I think if you put that Sooner Schooner in the chase there, they might have a shot. But Boyer, all he needs to do is 28th or better. You know, just keep going left. Keep it on the tracks. Keep it out of the the infield, stands. And Ryan Newman is the best chance. Jamie McMurray, you know, it seems like Jamie McMurray's had a great year. You look up, he's won some big races, and then he's not going to be in the chase unless something really big happens today. I'll be tuned in. Moses Madu has the ball sail over his head from Landry Jones.
I would think we would see the end of Landry Jones here at the end of this quarter. And get some others in, because I think defensively they're doing what they're doing and have done very well today. Landry Jones has come in here and thrown for a ton of yards.
That's his backup, Drew Allen, a redshirt freshman. Landry's 29 for 39 for 374. 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. There's Patrick O'Hara, made a 39-yarder earlier in this quarter. This is from 44. needs to hook. So it's still 44-7. Oklahoma leading with 24 seconds left in the third quarter. Let's take a look at today's good hands play brought to you by Allstate.
Well, it could have been a number of them all day long, but Cameron Kenny has an outstanding catch. Good job of keeping his feet in, body in, and it comes down with the touchdown. But if you're going to go with the one hot hand all game long for Allstate, Kenny did a good job, but I'd have to stick it back on the quarterback because Landry Jones had a hot hand all game long.
Well,
of course, it's the catching
called,
part. I understand, but I just wanted to change it.
Chris Thompson corralled by Tony Jefferson. That's going to take us to the end of the quarter in all likelihood. Oklahoma led 34-7 at the half. They've scored 10 unanswered points in the third quarter, which has now come to an end.
Hey, hey, do you wanna be famous? Everywhere you go, people know what your name is. Everyone you know trying to tell you you changed. I wanna taste that.
And welcome back to Norman, Oklahoma. Sean McDonough, Matt Millen, Janine Edwards. Fourth quarter about to begin. Florida State's ball. 2nd and 7. And Ponder is a man wide open. Chris Thompson out of the backfield. It's going to be a first down on a 16-yard game. Let's take a look at our Pacific Life game summary. 419 yards of offense for Oklahoma.
And you can see they've just been throwing the ball all over the field. And part of that, Landry Jones has had himself an excellent game. And the other half of that, of the equation, is that Florida State has not done a good job of tackling these receivers today.
Ponder short over the middle for about a 3 or 4 yard gain. Good tackle by Travis Lewis as he took down Chris Thompson. Might be the end of the day for Landry Jones. Interesting, we talked to him the other day. Artesia, New Mexico. How'd you wind up at Oklahoma? He said, well, had some relatives out this way, but I took a lot of trips. And my dad told me, when you get to the place, you'll just know it. It'll feel right. And he liked the campus, liked the coaches, liked the fact that this is a college town, but there's also a big city right up the road in Oklahoma City if you want to go experience that. As we saw on the graphic, too, 10 penalties against Florida State today.
We have illegal substitution. They're 12 men in formation for more than 3 seconds. Defense, 5-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
Well, there you go, cheating. I mean, you're way ahead, and then you got to try to sneak that 12th guy out there.
And it's tough because, well, actually the pace is slowed down, but when the pace is quickening, and is quickened rather, then you're running guys in and out, and then the offense tries to get you to do that. But right now it's kind of slowed down. No excuse for that.
Excellent work by Brent Venables and his staff. Ponder with flags down to the secondary, throws incomplete.
You had the feeling talking to Venables yesterday, the defensive coordinator here for the Oklahoma Sooners, that he felt pretty good about going into this game. And after watching the tape and seeing what he was up against.
Number 28 of the defense, that foul occurred against an eligible pass receiver, 10 yards, previous spot, automatic first down.
That's Travis Lewis, the linebacker, and there's Venables right there. He had the feeling after looking at it, he thought, they would play better than they did a week ago. They thought they'd have great effort, they'd get to the football. And then he thought if they could just eliminate some of the big plays and foolish plays that they were in position to take care of, that it would have been a much more decisive victory.
He had a nice addition to the coaching staff. You saw him briefly in that shot with the baseball hat on. Willie Martinez was the D coordinator for many years at Georgia. Ponder was hit as he threw. Pass fell incomplete. Frank Alexander, that's really helped the defense today. There's Willie Martinez, who's here as the secondary coach now. He said, yes, I'm a lucky guy. I got to work at Georgia, one of the traditionally great programs for a long time, and leave there and you come to Oklahoma, another one of them.
Willie Martinez has always been a very good X and O guy and a good sound teacher. And that's an excellent addition to the staff.
Kind of made the scapegoat down in Athens. Defense did struggle there in recent years, but before they sacrifice anybody else, usually it's one of the assistants who has to go. Ty Jones for a 5-yard run.
Yeah, and their defense, they need help from that offense. I think they got beat today, didn't they? Georgia did get beat today.
Yes, but at South Carolina.
AJ Green not playing, that hurts them a lot because that's one of those players he's one of the top players in the NCAA. He'd be a high draft choice.
3rd and 5. Ponder now 11 for 28 passing for 113 yards. And under duress and taken down. If you're Jimbo Fisher, would you think about getting Ponder out of the game now too? I mean, the result's no longer in doubt. And you don't want to get this guy hurt. Although they do have a good backup in E.J. Manuel, but you don't want to play with the backup all year long.
Yeah, well, it's at that point, Sean. They're down. You're down a bunch here. You'd probably give them the hook, let the others play.
This is one of the worst losses in school history. 49 points, their biggest defeat to Florida back in '73. 52-yard field goal try now by Dustin Hopkins. He has more than enough leg to make it.
Wow.
And it is good. That was a rocket with the wind. Plenty of room to spare. 44-10. The comeback is underway. And we're back in Norman, Oklahoma. 70th consecutive sellout here, school record. About to watch the 32nd consecutive home victory for the Sooners. They lead 44-10 over Florida State on a big day for Landry Jones. Dustin Hopkins, after his field goal, ready to kick off with the wind. Brennan Clay, the true freshman, and Moses Madu, the senior, back deep. Boy, he hits it so hard it sounds like a gun's going off. It's a touchback. And here's a look at the day of Landry Jones, in control from start to finish.
And like we said earlier, he's all over the field. He threw it short, he threw it deep, he threw it in the middle of the field. He was consistent all game long. And, you know, the biggest thing was he had time to throw. I want you to take a look at where he threw the ball. And really, he was effective all over the field, whether he threw it short or deep, anything down the field, the middle, left and right. It was a great day for him. Now, all that is made possible by those 5 guys sitting in front of him and the running backs, tight ends who protected him. The offensive line did an outstanding job today, and Landry Jones benefited.
Well, Landry Jones is coming back out there.
That don't make any sense at this point.
There was an offside penalty against Florida State, so they put 5 yards on the end of the touchback. Oklahoma gets it at the 25 instead of the 20. Murray gets 5 more. Kind of surprised he's still carrying the ball too. Let's check in with Robert Flores in our Times Square studio in New York.
All right, Sean, right now on ESPN, Ja'Cory Harris finding Chase Ford, and Miami scores a touchdown. Unfortunately for Harris and the Canes, he's thrown 4 interceptions. They're still down 36-24. Sean.
All right, Robert, thank you. DeMarco Murray carries again for Oklahoma. Gets banged out at the 38-yard line. That's a first down.
You know, going on the road to some of these places like Norman, Oklahoma, Columbus, Ohio, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, those are tough places to win football games.
Murray again. Looks like they're even speeding up the pace again here.
Well,
I mean, they're
I guess
playing like they want this first offense to get more work in.
That's probably what he's doing, but I would, well, I'm not the head coach, so I think it's time for others to be in here right now. Get the second, get the other guys in here.
You have DeMarco Murray with a history of injury. And he touches the ball 3 plays in a row after 35 carries last week. Here's Trey Millard, freshman fullback, for a yard. .10:40 to go. Bob Stoops was talking about the pluses and minuses of playing a game like this early. He started to think maybe the way to go is just, load up on cupcakes in the non-conference.
You know
Seems
what?
to be limited reward and a lot of downside risk if you schedule up early in the season and you don't win in today's BCS world. Timeout. Oklahoma uses it, 3rd down and 4 upcoming.
Today's AT&T All-America Flashback, Adrian Peterson. On October 9th, 2004, this freshman continued to impress the nation with power, agility, and speed. In just his 5th collegiate game, Peterson lit up the Longhorns for 225 yards. This Sooner averaged 7 yards per carry, propelling Oklahoma to victory over the Texas Longhorns. Text VOTE to 345345 from your mobile phone to vote and for a chance to win a trip to the national championship game. ESPN's College Football on ABC, brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings. You have to be here. Ford, Drive One. And AT&T, rethink possible.
Just up the road in Oklahoma City, the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum, focusing on the history, art, and culture of the American West. How could you have cowboy memorabilia without John Wayne?
The Duke
statue we saw there at the end.
Who was a USC guy.
Really?
Yes, the Duke.
I did not know that.
Yes.
Well, as this game cranks briskly along, Jack Childress was over talking to the replay folks. Apparently there's some question about the number of timeouts remaining for these teams. And now we're ready to go.
This is what we call cranking briskly along, huh?
Yeah. There have been 18 penalties called by this ACC crew today. We've had the same play reviewed 3 times. Landry Jones managed to handle the snap, swings it out for Brennan Clay. Welcome to college football. The true freshman got laid out by Nick Moody. Was in a foul mood when he arrived, and let's hope Clay's all right.
That was a heck of a hit.
Yeah, he got absolutely lit up by Nick Moody, and you'd feel better about it if you saw a little bit of movement here from Brennan Clay.
Cuts back inside. Moody just comes inside out and just met him face to face.
Very highly touted prospect, Brennan Clay. He's from San Diego, California. They've done well in Southern California. Kenny Stills, another true freshman from Encinitas, California. Mentioned he's going to be a hybrid player here. You can understand why in high school.
We have an official timeout on the field.
Brendan Clay, as a junior, rushed for 1,000 yards plus and had more than 1,000 yards receiving in the same season. The only player in the history of California ever to do that. We're back in Norman, Oklahoma, and medical personnel still tending to Brennan Clay, a true freshman out of San Diego, and hit very hard by Nick Moody of Florida State on the last play. Looks like he took a shot right in the head, the side of the head. They brought a stretcher out there. We're also getting reports in the field that perhaps they're going to bring an ambulance out onto the field. Here's another look at it.
I mean, a nice, it's a nice clean hit, face up, right through. He got his head down. Just.
Guess my question would be, was it helmet to helmet? Moody concerned, as is everybody. You can hear a pin drop in the stadium right now. And Janine Edwards is down on the field. What can you tell us, Janine?
Well, guys, Coach Bob Stoops did go over to his injured player, and he leaned over him and he said, we just need to check out your neck and make sure your neck is okay. He said, you hang tight. And then the trainers who have been evaluating him since he went down have just asked him to move all of his extremities, and he was able to lift both legs and both arms, and that's what I've been able to see so far.
Well, that's great news. And a lot of times, Matt, as you know, you've been around this game for a long time. In situations like this, they're going to err on the side of caution and make sure, absolutely sure, that the young man is okay. Keep him mobilized and take him to the hospital to check everything out. But that is a very good sign if Janine's been seeing movement of the arms and legs.
Sean, along that line, the medical attention that is available in these games is so much better than it used to be. I mean, it's not even close. And they have, they have all the top-notch people right here. They do a great job of getting in there right away and assessing things and the triage and all that stuff that goes on. And you saw a marked difference in college football probably about 20 years ago, and it carried over into the National Football League. And I think medical staffs in general do a great job down on the field.
And they have strapped him onto the stretcher to immobilize him. Going to put him on the cart now and take him off the field.
Sean, one of the toughest things for a player is when you're in the middle of a game and something like this happens and you watch the guy sitting there and knowing that, it could be any one of us. And then you have to watch him go off, you pat him on the back, he's in your mind, and then you got to turn around and play again. That's one of the toughest things. You kind of have to flip a switch and kind of ignore that it never happened and keep on going and hope everything's fine with him.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for one play.
And a big hand. A lot of the fans have left at this one-sided game on a hot and sunny day here. They've been broiling in the stands for almost 3.5 hours now since kickoff. And let's get more from Janine.
Well, guys, Coach Bob Stoops just did come over to me, and he said, we have been talking to him. He is responding to us. He is responsive, and that's the one thing that all my players need to know right now. He is responding to us. They're taking him to the ambulance, and they're taking him to the hospital.
We'll play ready to resume now. The clock running under 10 minutes to go. And they have gone to the bench for Drew Allen at quarterback. This is Jeremy Calhoun, the running back. He's a sophomore. Here's Drew Allen, redshirt freshman out of San Antonio. Seeing his first action of the season and of his career. Redshirted last year out of Alamo Heights High School in the San Antonio area. Great day for Landry Jones. Went 30 for 40 passing for 380 yards and 4 touchdowns. No interceptions. He did lose a fumble. With Calhoun again weaving his way to the 43. I think after we just witnessed from Brendan Clay, you get the sense now both sides would just like to see this clock run out and get the game over.
Yeah, and don't take any chances and just run the clock and move on.
Calhoun again, and a first down inside the Florida State 40-yard line. Christian Jones, a true freshman linebacker, made the tackle for Florida State. He was a very highly recruited defender for the Seminoles. Well, much better week. Last week, 47% against Utah State. Today, 30 out of 40.
75.
Good for you. They're so proud at Penn State right now.
Thank you very much.
Our crack statistician, the legendary Marty Aronoff, best man I know with numbers, another product of Penn State. Calhoun again. The day's likely over for DeMarco Murray as well. Rushed for 51 yards on 16 carries. Murray also had 4 catches for 52 yards.
I think the bigger picture overall for the Oklahoma Sooner offense really was the offensive line. That first group did themselves proud today. They protected extremely well, opened a lot of holes inside to run when they did want to run. A very solid offensive performance by that O-line.
Trey Franks, another top recruit, true freshman out of Orange, Texas, made the catch. Short gain. There's DeMarco Murray. 103 total yards between the receiving and the rushing. Scored a couple. Allen jumps off the screen pass to Calhoun. And there's Moody, who laid out Brennan Clay, coming with a hit along the boundary, but it is a first down for Oklahoma near the 25-yard line.
They'll just keep on running the football, and if they are going to throw, it'll be something short like that, or screens underneath, or that type of thing. Just want to move this clock.
Calhoun saw limited action last year as their third running back, stacked up by Brandon Jenkins.
So Sean, if you're the Florida State Seminoles and you're Mark Stoops, you're the defensive coordinator, there are going to be some things that you learn from this game. There'll be some things that you learn, what you're deficient at. Now this was a real test, a real live one, and so they haven't been able to rush the passer. That's hurt them, and without really bringing a fifth guy or without scheming it. And then they're not a very big team. Okay, all those things it's going to be tough. You're not going to go out and get big guys in the middle of the season, and it's tough to develop a pass rusher overnight. So those are things he's going to have to live with here for the rest of the season.
Moses Madu carried. Xavier Rhodes the tackle. I just don't see the playmakers on either side of the ball for Florida State.
Yeah, and outside, and it's going to fall completely on Ponder, which we said from the start of this game, and frankly today he wasn't up to it.
Moses Madu again, tackled by Anthony McLeod. Well, here's what they have ahead. They need to get better fast because BYU's not going to be any pushover. Wake Forest also a home game for Florida State, then on the road for 3 out of the next 4. The only home game in that stretch is against a very good Boston College team. Brutal day for the ACC today. 5 minutes to go now.
They got kicked around pretty good today.
A lot of the things that Jimbo Fisher has been striving to do, build greater unity, togetherness. He has them all eat in the same cafeteria. They're required to do that. Change the locker room around. No longer offense over here, defense over there. Wouldn't be tested after a loss like this. This is the 15th play of the drive now for Oklahoma. They've used up over 7 minutes off the game clock. A 38-yard attempt for Patrick O'Hara.
And it is good. Well, we're just a few minutes away from the kickoff over on ESPN. That big matchup. Coaching Giants Joe Paterno and Nick Saban. Paterno's Nittany Lions ranked number 18. And Saban's Alabama Crimson Tide #1 college football primetime presented by Hampton Hotels tonight, 7 Eastern on ESPN. What do you look for in that one?
Well, we talked a little bit about Penn State and the offensive line, and it'll fall on them. But when you look at what Alabama has, and Greg McElroy, who's really turned into a top-notch passer, and then Ingram's out, probably won't play. But Richardson, he is a heck of a player. And so I would expect that you'll see plenty of offense. I think Penn State's, Tom Bradley, he'll play a lot of that cover 3 and kind of try to slow him down and not give up some big plays. It's still going to come down, to me, it's going to come down to whether that offensive line for Penn State can get Bolden any kind of time.
And we'll see in just a few minutes on ESPN. Meanwhile, here in Norman, better than 85,000 on hand to watch Oklahoma alleviate some of the fears of their fans after a squeaker last week against Utah State, a team that won 4 games last year and was a 34-point underdog.
Yeah, and they also gave some Florida State fans some of their own problems.
Yeah,
because they've exposed some things, and like we talked about, no playmakers on offense, which is a tough one, and you can't generate a pass rush on defense. That's tough. You go against a kid like Landry Jones today when he had that much time to throw. He tuned him up to 380 yards. So
I think the key for Jimbo Fisher and his staff is going to be keep recruiting, because obviously you don't have the stud, talented playmakers that you're so used to seeing in Florida State uniforms in years gone by. Here's a great example of their good recruiting. Joyner, the USA Today Player of the Year in high school last year, but he didn't get very far with that kickoff return. Excellent coverage. Sam Proctor took down Joyner. It will be the end of the day for Christian Ponder, and here comes E.J. Manuel. Played half the game the second half last week against Samford, as it was 42-3 at the half, so he came in and did a very good job. Sophomore out of Virginia Beach. Went 10 for 13 last week for 129 yards. He was the starter at the end of last season when Ponder went down with the shoulder injury, and E.J. led him to a 3-1 record, including the emotional win in the Gator Bowl in Bobby Bowden's last game against his old team, West Virginia. Manuel was the MVP of that Gator Bowl.
In games like this, I remember things that come back to, like Coach Paterno used to say all the time, that things are never as bad as they seem when you lose, and they're never as good as they seem when you win. And that is so true. And so Florida State will go back, they'll watch this tape, they'll learn from it, and hopefully they'll get better from it. There are some inherent things that they're going to have to try to overcome, but that's on every football team. It's a long season. The biggest thing is to get better week in and week out, and that's what they'll go back to work on.
Ty Jones lost the football, picked up and advanced by the Seminoles. Aaron Colvin knocked it out, a true freshman backup cornerback. Willie Halstead, the wide receiver, able to pick up the fumble, take it out to the 30. They might want to put this one in the playbook. In one of their best plays of the day.
Yeah, Colvin put his helmet right on the ball and popped right up, and Halstead did a good job of advancing it.
14-yard gain. Taking down to 3.5 to go. Manuel, another guy with good size. He's 6'4". Slipping a bit as he tried to escape. Delivers a stiff arm. Goes out of bounds near the 35. So Oklahoma, mentioned Bob Stoops debating the wisdom of the tough out-of-conference schedule. He has it this year. Air Force, a very good team. They'll be in here in a week. And then they go to Cincinnati, defending Big East champs in a BCS bowl game last year. And then their conference schedule starts with Texas.
Not a bad Texas team either. That's going to be a good game again, like it always is year in and year out, and you can forget anything that happened in previous weeks.
Bob Stoops has won 6 Big 12 titles in his first 11 years here. And impressively, he's done it with 5 different quarterbacks. He's very proud of that, as he should be.
Well, he's done a great job, and he's done a great job of recruiting. They do a good job here academically with the student athletes. And the thing that impresses me is, I've been around, a lot of different guys from different schools, but rarely do you run into an OU guy who's not a good guy. Most of these guys are really good, solid guys.
Good throw by Manuel, and Willie Halstead runs away. And I guess he was still on his feet because the ball's out and there are no whistles. And Oklahoma has it. Recovered by Gabe Lynn, the backup cornerback. I see a replay review in our future. Just what you want in a 37-point game with 2:21 to go. Well, let's see. Apparently he never went down.
If he goes down or not. That would be a tough one right there. He'd have to see if his knee hit. It was opposite us.
Jaden Bird. Aaron Colvin made the tackle.
Could have been down there.
And then Jaden Bird came in, kicked the ball. Yep, here comes the replay review. But it does give us a chance to amplify what you were talking about Bob Stoops. I think people forget, we think of Oklahoma as this always great program. For much
the Florida
of their history,
State coach has called to see if the play should be reviewed, to see if the player was down prior to the fumble.
Well, we'll go back and look at the replays again to help the replay officials. We'll give Jimbo Fisher credit. He's going to battle here all the way to the end. He might have a point. It certainly would seem worthy of a stoppage.
There, it looked like his right knee could have been down. And take a good look at right here. Let's see. Yeah, right there it is.
Yeah, it looks like his right knee's down. He still has the ball.
Ooh, boy,
I'm not sure it's conclusive, and the call on the field was a fumble. So. I would say this. I would think about 95 times out of 100 he would have been called down on a play that looked like that.
Well, maybe here's a better, more definitive shot right here.
Ooh, can't really tell if his knee ever really does touch the ground.
I don't know if it's down.
Like
it looks
like it did.
It doesn't. I don't know. It looks to me like it's not down. Looks like there's
space.
Yeah.
Looks like Jack Childress is ready with the answer.
After further review, the call on the field has been confirmed. The runner was not down. He rolled over a player and then fumbled. The ball was recovered by Oklahoma. That is a charged team timeout to Florida State. That is also their challenge for the game. That is the first timeout.
Confirmed might be a strong word.
It correctly shows 2 timeouts remaining, Florida State.
I think Jack's, a little testy now after a long day on the field. He didn't like Florida State stopping that, apparently. I wouldn't say it was confirmed. There wasn't evidence to overturn it, but to say it definitely shows the call was right is a little strong. We're talking about Bob Stoops. They were in a really low period when he got here. They hadn't had a winning season in 5 years. They hadn't been to a bowl game in 4 years. It's remarkable the job he's done against that backdrop, and how quickly he did it. He won a national championship in his second year here. Back in the end of the 2000 season. Been to 7 BCS Bowls. Those who want to nitpick say the record isn't very good, but 7 in 11 years is a record most schools would be happy to take. More Big 12 titles than anybody. And how about what he told us the other day? When he took the job, he was the defense coordinator at Florida, liked working for Steve Spurrier, been there 3 years, family liked it, young family. Got here, took the job, said I was going to go back. I had only brought a change of underwear and a toothbrush. Got to go back, get my stuff. Then I realized I can't do that. This is my job now. I have to go recruit. I have to put the staff together. And so for weeks he was all over the country recruiting and interviewing staff members and didn't get home. And finally flew home to Gainesville to get his stuff. A buddy of his, Rick Rundle, picked him up. When he got in the car in the Jacksonville airport, he said to Rick Rundle, "I think I've ruined my life." And he was serious. He thought he made a mistake taking this job. It was so much more than he thought it was going to be. That feeling didn't last very long.
Well, and the reason why it didn't last very long is because what you just described is what he is. He went to work, and he went to work getting the right staff together, many of which are here, and he also went to work recruiting, and that's your lifeblood. And he went back down to where they've gotten most of their players at Oklahoma is right out of that great state of Texas, and they do a great job of recruiting, and you can see all the young players, they're not afraid to play them. They stick them right in, and away they go.
All right, Jimbo, maybe it's time. Timeout, Florida State. The fans don't like it. Don't have series premiere of Detroit 187. Comes your way Tuesday night. That is September 21st, a week from Tuesday. I know Christian Ponder has to be really disappointed, Matt. Obviously, you're going to be disappointed when it's a game like this, but you could tell he was very sincere. He really believed. He said this team is as together as any since I've been here. Last week we played about the best team game, all units contributing, everybody on the same page. To have it go this far backwards in 1 week, obviously the competition is much better.
Well, the season's not over, and the season, I mean, they've got a lot of year to play, and a lot of good things can happen. They're just going to have to go back and figure out where they're at and how you get around some of your deficiencies.
Tressway punts. And Greg Reed's going to try it. And he gets swarmed at the 29-yard line. 44-yard punt, 6-yard return. Ugly day for the ACC. No other way to put it. Virginia Tech upset at home by James Madison. Just the second-ranked team to lose to a team from a lower division. We all remember Appalachian State's win at Michigan. Georgia Tech upset by Kansas. It's a Kansas team that was awful in week 1, and Miami of Florida has lost in Columbus. And this is going to be an ugly defeat for Florida State here too.
You know, that James Madison win kind of takes a little bit of the polish off the apple there on that Boise win, doesn't it?
Yes. Hurts them.
Yeah.
You would think. I mean, it diminishes that win, and that win's going to be one of the things they most have to stand on later in the year if they go through the rest of the season undefeated, because their conference schedule, has been much discussed, does not offer them many opportunities to score style points against teams that aren't as good.
Now, that being said, they made their major jump when they had to, and they went to 3 now. As long as they continue to win, it'll be tough for them to get bumped out of that spot.
E.J. Manuel's pass is caught. And let's send you to Robert Flores.
All right, Sean, this gentle reminder coming up on ABC, the final race before NASCAR's playoffs begin, as it comes to you from Richmond International Raceway. Carl Edwards is on the pole. And Denard Robinson has just gone in for a touchdown to give Michigan a 4-point lead with less than 30 to play. Sean.
Wow, what a game that's been after Notre Dame drove to take a lead in the final minutes.
Yeah, and Denard Robinson over 250 yards rushing.
Well, I'm not going to say there's a new star in college football, and he's Denard Robinson, because I said that at the end of the Michigan-Notre Dame game last year that we were broadcasting about Tate Forcier. Now he's a third-string bench warmer, so we'll have to see a little more from Denard Robinson, but I like his chances of maintaining it.
And the way he's running that offense with his feet, he's electric. He's really good.
That hot seat for Rich Rodriguez is getting a little cooler. We said last week we had their game against Connecticut. If they give him time, get his players and his system in place, and put all this negativity behind him, Rich Rodriguez is going to be a big winner, just like he was at West Virginia. 18-yard gain on the pass to Josh Gary's. Manuel given time. His throw's a little bit too high for Taiwan Easterling, who was a member of the Florida State baseball team that advanced to the College World Series in Omaha.
Well, they play great baseball down there, don't they?
Yeah, Mike Martin's had a great program at Florida State for a long time. Matter of fact, both of these schools were in the College World Series. Oklahoma's baseball team advanced to Omaha this year. The guy I wanted to see play baseball, Kobe McDaniel of Florida State. The defensive lineman, there's an incomplete pass.
A 300-pounder.
300-pounder, and he hit 589 as a senior in high school and got drafted by the Milwaukee Brewers. Imagine seeing a 300-pound guy up at the plate.
How'd you like to see him stealing home? Block the plate. No, you block the plate.
They told us he was on the baseball team for about a week at Florida State, then realized he really couldn't do both. Jacoby McDaniel, 298 pounds, drafted in the 33rd round, 2009. Third down and 10. Easterling the catch, and he breaks free. Foot race, and he scores on the last play of the game. So if you're Jimbo Fisher and you're trying to send a message to your team to fight all the way to the end, you use those timeouts, keep playing, and you get another touchdown on the board to take back with you to Tallahassee. I don't think Stoops was particularly amused by this.
No.
Are you a little surprised that they used the timeouts?
Well, the timeouts, yeah, but I mean, you got to try to score. I mean, I understand that part.
47-yard touchdown. Dustin Hopkins, the extra point, and it is good. And that accounts for the final margin. Oklahoma 47, Florida State 17. Coming up next on ABC, stay tuned for NASCAR coverage from Richmond. Now for Matt Millen, Janine Edwards, and our entire crew, Sean McDonough saying so long from Norman, Oklahoma.